Okay, here we are. Here we are in space, where we like to be.
We're live, are we, Didi?
We are. And let's see. I want to set my log.
Hi, friends. So we thought
Hello, everybody. Anybody?
We thought we'd just do a live stream and people can just hang out.
We're just hanging out for socials.
Yeah, for socials.
That's all we are.
And hoping you're all having well, probably a lot of people we know aren't even out of bed yet. It's kind of probably about, I don't know, what time would it be? 7:30, 8:30, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
6:30. And if you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, it's much earlier than that.
Planet.
So I've done a little video just before, so you might like to check that out. And or you may not. It really depends.
Yeah.
Let me see how the levels are for our video, because there's nobody awake. So let's see.
Well, there's no one here.
There's no one here. They're not that. Is this our normal level of video, Didi?
Sounds a little quieter than usual.
No, I mean, is this the levels on your screen that you've got?
Yeah.
Is that the usual?
That's up into the yellows, and yeah, yes.
Have you got like the master level up?
No. Do you want me to turn the master level up a bit?
I think so, because I usually don't have to have it sort of. Whoops, that's better. Hang on.
It depends how high the TV is.
It's. Well, see how high I've got it on the TV.
Yeah, I think the master level's okay. I don't know. Do you have it up higher than normal?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Anyway, I just don't. It's kind of a real pain if people have to
struggle.
Yeah, well, if they have to, whack their levels right up to hear us.
Yeah.
So if you can, if you're able,
I'll turn it up in just a second. I'm just analyzing my hotspot.
Okay.
Okay.
What do we do? What's happening in No Man's Sky?
I'm figuring out where an energy thing is so that I can extract some energy. Now I'm going to turn up the levels. Okay.
What kind of energy do they use in No Man's Sky?
Electricity.
Oh, okay. Nothing particularly.
Yeah, they're using some geothermal electricity generation, which is, I guess, good. Okay. Well,
It's a relaxing game, isn't it?
It is.
I'd like to get that flight simulator.
I've cranked yours up to 3.
I'd like to get that flight simulator thing because it's...
okay. You talk now.
Okay, so anyway, it's too expensive. Yeah, they're pretty much the same, although...
They're pretty much the same.
Yeah. Anyway, people should be able to hear that okay. Maybe somebody will come in and tell us how that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've sorted that out to some extent.
I hope so. Anyway.
I'm using a new microphone tonight just for a change, and
just to see what that's like.
What that's like. So if anybody hears any difference, that's great.
Okay, I'm swimming underwater. What do I need now? I have to go back up to the surface so I don't drown.
Some of the things that are trending on Twitter GOP pedo ring. That's a hashtag.
What's that?
Oh, you should mention what we saw tonight about Hillsong, the evangelical Christian in quotes group.
Oh, they're making a big thing about Hillsong, and the fact that this was actually not new, apparently, but it seems to be hitting the news for some reason.
Right.
And it's about David Houston having known about his father's pedophilia. And David Houston is the guy who started Hillsong.
Yes.
And
Hillsong.
his father was a pastor. He was a pastor in his father's church.
Can you explain something about Hillsong?
I don't know that much. It's a Pentecostal religion.
It's a Pentecostal evangelical
Yeah.
Christian in quotes group that has a lot of members, and it's very wealthy. They've just bought, they just bought an office in Manhattan.
And they've got one,
which would be very, very expensive. They've got a lot of money. And the Prime Minister here, Scott Morrison, is a big fan, and he goes to their church gatherings. And Justin
He's
Bieber.
not a Hillsong person. He's a Pentecostal, but not.
I thought he went to Hillsong.
No, apparently not.
No? Pentecostal, what other ones are there?
Well, there's a lot of Pentecostals.
Are there?
Yeah.
And Justin Bieber goes to Hillsong, though, I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah,
so I imagine he's thrown money
He's
at
Hillsong.
Hillsong.
And there's a lot of Pentecostals who are into the whole Hillsong thing. Okay, it's over there. I'm going to see if I can... Oh, I don't have anything to hook to.
In Canada, Justin Trudeau is expected to call a federal election on Sunday. I guess things must be fairly favourable for him at the moment. So if you've watched that video that I posted this evening, and you want to read a really excellent vegan blog, there's a blog called "There's an Elephant in the Room" by Linda Clark, and it's a really great vegan blog. It focuses on the ethical reasons to be vegan, and that's of course what veganism is. It's an ethical position. There's lots of misinformation and disinformation about veganism online, but if you have a look, if you look at her blog, you'll get a very good idea of what veganism is, and you can also check out. I'll just put a link in the chat section, and also you can check out UVE archives, which I mention in the premiere of that video, and that has great information on it. It's got a great sort of a presentation of veganism as well, and I mention in that video I did tonight what's wrong with vegetarianism, and I've left a link to that, because a lot of people conflate vegetarianism and veganism, and they're really nothing alike. One is non-veganism and the other one is veganism. And the reason I did that... Do you think you could just give me a little bit more volume, Didi?
Yeah.
I think I might be a bit quiet.
Let's
Sorry.
see.
It's certainly not distorting anyway. Whoops. Anyhow, so the reason I did that video tonight was because I was on a live stream earlier today, Breakthrough News, and they regularly talk about the climate crisis, and we've talked about the IPCC report, which the IPCC is a very conservative sort of organisation. I do get pops now. I actually have to try and talk on the side. That's a nuisance. I might have to speak further away from it and and try and project so I'm not popping it, Dee Dee.
Okay.
Can you just check? Can you just turn it up some more because I'm sitting back from it?
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want to
Anybody
be
watching, it's going to be
Diddy. I don't want to be
watching.
popping Diddy. I don't want to
Yeah.
be popping all the way through the
Okay.
thing. Otherwise, we should probably
Yeah.
change microphones.
Yeah.
So I'll just sit back here and there.
Okay.
So that's. I mean, as long as it's not in the red, it's not going to be distorting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, it's up pretty high in the yellow most of the time. Talk. Talk.
yeah. So you see how yours is louder than mine, Diddy?
Yeah.
So I just want it to be a level thing so people aren't having to. Yeah, you see, that's better. You see?
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Because there's nothing worse than one person is way back and the
Sure.
other person is,
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, it's a bit tricky with this microphone.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the reason I was doing this particular video tonight, because I wanted to talk about the
Oh,
the cognitive
game crashed.
oh no, the game crashed, so we'll have to reload that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to address the cognitive dissonance with when veganism is raised in a live stream. A lot of people tend to just pretend the person isn't talking, and I'm not the only person, of course, that talks about that in live streams. And then if at best, so
Kim being one of our.
you get two.
favorite.
I'm not talking about this live stream. I'm talking about other live streams.
Yeah.
No, you
Kim.
either get somebody who's talking about it and there's crickets when you mention it, or you get someone who goes through a list of all these very feeble excuses and things that don't even make sense because they're so affronted by the idea they just want you to shut up. So they're doing their very best to shut you up, which is kind of really boring
They come up
after
with
you've been
any
doing.
excuse they can conceive of.
Huh?
They come up with any excuse they
Yeah.
can conceive of.
And, basically I've spent the last out of 16 years that I've been vegan, I've spent about 15 years doing vegan education, so I've heard every kind of excuse you can imagine, from I'm allergic to plants, if I don't have plants I'll die, if I don't have meat I'll die.
Yeah.
Um,
What about the Inuits?
what about the Inuits? I mean, they go through all these things, and when people start reaching for, what about this group? What about that group? I say, well, are you an Inuit? Are you from that particular tribe in that particular deep part of the Amazon rainforest? I mean, it's like these sort of all these different excuses that have nothing to do with them, really. And also, basically, they're just freaking out and just want you to stop, And there was somebody there today. I had to block 2 people today because I just couldn't be bothered. I mean, I can't be bothered because after 15 years and saying this so many times and stuff, if somebody wants to run through the gamut of nonsense,
We call it vegan excuse bingo.
if they want to run through the gamut of all the nonsense and stuff and reaching for everything and also just absolute nonsense that's not based on any science at all. That's another thing that's just like, I just can't be bothered anymore with people that are doing that, that just are so desperate to shut you up. They keep throwing anything that they think will stick, and you end up wasting your time. And of course, in these limited characters, of 280 or whatever it is, you know, it's impossible really to have any nuanced conversation with people. So after a little while, I just go, okay, you know, if you wanna go that way, that's your choice. And you know, and the thing is that this is sort of all about, in the end, we're going to all starve, basically. You know, when the climate, it's already happening. Agriculture is on the brink already, and there's crops failing all over the place because the weather is so unpredictable, and you know, they're not getting enough rain, or they're getting too much rain, or they're not getting enough frost, or they're getting too much frost, or they're getting hail, or they're getting, I mean, it's just all over the place. And plants and trees, you know, fruit trees and all that kind of thing, they're not used to those great swings in, you know, these great swings, and they're not used to long periods of droughts. And you know, they're having
and the ones that could live in that are in the wrong place.
That's right, and they're ripping up almond trees in California because there's not enough water. Over here in Australia, there's great, like, you know, the what was that about the water going on? You know, they were getting under the trees. You know, the eucalyptus trees. There's not enough water.
Oh yes,
sort of
a lot of the forests around here are in real drought, and it's sort of critical water shortage for a lot of the trees, because many of the trees were adapted to almost swamp-like circumstances here in Tassie. Like the biggest trees, some say they're the biggest trees in the world, they certainly give redwoods a run for their money, are the swamp gums.
Yeah.
And swamp gums are called swamp gums because, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And if they're not getting that sort of
they're not getting that kind of water
then you end up with I think that contributed
tinder
to
dry.
That contributed to the great fires that we had at the end of
ago.
2019, which you can, if you go back in my videos, you can see you can see when I was sort of making little like diary entries about it. And you know, there was really thick smoke in the air. We basically couldn't go outside for more than a few minutes without I couldn't, feeling sick.
We could get out about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was just like literally you could see it was blue in the air, and that was all coming from across the river, and we had to worry about it jumping the river. Yeah. And we're on the other side of the river to it, and you know, there
massive ash and stuff.
Yeah, we were going to have
coming down.
There possibly could have been a lot of ash coming down and setting things on fire.
Yeah. And
you know, I imagine in a few years, if you know, the same thing could happen if they don't, you know, if there aren't some good wind breaks, fire breaks, and you know, when everything gets really dry. It's all sort of a crapshoot, or I don't know. It's just it's a gamble. It's a gamble, really, what the weather's going to be like, and that's the thing. The weather is incredibly unpredictable, and so, you know, you really just have to hope for the best. That you're in an area where the climate crisis isn't going to be affecting you. So, you know, you've got to be, you hope to be in an area where maybe it's going to take longer for things to go awry. And, you know, it'll eventually catch up to Tasmania, but we're kind of in a fairly good position here, just being an island. And, you know, the weather's fairly cool, but I mean, at some point that's not going to matter. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
And the reason I mention all of this, you know, the unpredictability of weather, people sort of think that there's going to be, you know, that the worst thing is that can happen is that sea levels rise, and there's, you know, and of course that will be bad for people, but there's going to be things that are way worse than that are going to happen a lot sooner than that, like just crops failing, and the prices of food go up until eventually there are no longer lines of food that people can eat.
And basically,
And eventually famine.
basically it will just get more and more expensive,
Yeah, and that's
because there'll always be some food somewhere,
yeah,
and rich people will be able to afford that, but the rest of us won't.
no, that's right. And this is where the oligarchy is going to make sure that they have theirs, but of course, good
That's not
luck.
going to help us.
Good luck eventually, though, to them. I mean, they may still have access to food when the masses do not, but that's not going to last forever. Eventually, they're going to have to be in their bunkers and wait it out for thousands of years, and that's not going to happen. That's not going to work for them, and it's certainly not going to work for their children, and their children are going to hate them, and the guards who were shooting people who might have been trying to get into their bunkers are going to say, well, you don't have anything you can give us. You're not even... capitalism doesn't even exist anymore because everything is... a social collapse has happened. So your money doesn't mean anything. So
And we have the guns.
yeah, we have the guns, so get out of our way. And, bang, bang, that's the end of the oligarchs. So, that's sort of something. I don't think they've thought that through very well.
Yeah.
Hey, Didi.
Or at all.
I mean,
well,
we saw...
actually, I remember hearing about somebody who gives lectures about new technologies and that kind of stuff, and he was asked to give a special lecture to a bunch of CEOs from Silicon Valley,
Right.
and he thought they would want to know all about the latest, wonderful stuff that is being invented and things.
Yeah.
And no, he said, they asked him, is there some sort of device we can implant in guards so that we can kill them if they try to revolt?
Isn't that insane?
And that's where their heads are at.
Yeah.
They actually understand that it becomes untenable that once you stop being the capitalist who has all the money,
Yeah.
then you don't have any power over the people who have guns,
Yeah. Yeah.
who are the guards,
Yeah.
and you have the revolution of the military revolution.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, isn't that awful that people even think like that?
Yeah.
I mean, see, this is where, they've already lost their humanity when they're thinking like that.
Yeah.
And that, in a way, is their kind of, if you could call it punishment. No, that's not a good word, but
consequence.
that's the consequence of, people sort of think, and they think, the oligarchs will all be able to hide out in the bunkers and then they'll surface when everybody else is dead and stuff like that.
But
That's
I mean,
not going to
honestly,
work out
if
like
they
that.
have families, what do they think their kids are going to think about it?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not going to
When
work
their
out.
kids end up living in the bunker, you think your kids are going to be real happy with you
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not.
that you
And-
fucked the earth,
and
but
you
you've
should
got
have
a bunker.
You should have seen the bunker that we. It was on Russell Brand's site. This bunker. It was actually an old nuclear silo, and it had about 13 levels or something, and it looked like
They're
each
all
level.
apartments, basically,
Each
without
level.
windows.
Each level looked like a maximum security prison. It really did. And this person obviously had a lot of money, and it was hideous. And it had no windows. I mean, can you imagine? And I don't know what he thinks is going to happen, if it actually ever gets to that point of where, he has to go down into a silo to escape the masses, then obviously things are not great.
To put it.
Yeah, and it's
my
it's
God.
going to be probably, it's probably going to be really bad climate-wise on the surface, and they're going to have to be there for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just putting a little changing a few things on the.
That's why I keep.
So I don't think anybody should be particularly envious of the oligarchy, because in the end, they're going to be in their bunkers, and it's going to take forever for things to calm down, and it's going to be like being in a maximum security prison, except I think even some people in maximum security prisons get a little bit of time outside. Hey, Didi.
Yeah. And even if the environment isn't so horrible that they could go outside, yeah, all of the people who are left outside are going to be really pissed off, and they won't be able to go outside because of that.
Yeah, but like we say, like we say that the guards, what would be their motivation for protecting those people when there's no capitalism anymore, there's none of that? Why would they bother?
Yeah. I mean, particularly the people who are in charge of the guards, who already have some notion of command and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'd say if they're willing to shoot people, they're probably, if they're willing to shoot people that are trying to, sort of get some food or something, then they're not the greatest character types there are.
No. No,
So,
not the greatest character types at all. Okay.
so happy.
Happy thoughts everywhere.
So sorry if we sound a little bit, or I sound if I sound a little bit dark. It's just that
It is a little bit dark.
Yeah, I just think, I've said this before, somebody had said to me, 40 years ago, well, in 40 years' time, you're going to have governments that are actually trying to destroy the planet and gather, and are so greedy they can't even, they can't stop doing that. It's just they want more and more and more. And that we were going to be on the edge of extinction. I would have said, oh, don't be ridiculous. I actually thought people, were more into self-preservation than that. But it seems like there's the capitalist class are just kind of insane. And I suppose in part it's probably because, there's they're quite old. A lot of these people are fairly old, and they probably think the shit's going to hit the fan after they die. But at this rate, though, I think they might even see a bit of shit hitting the fan.
Yeah.
That's something that... So I was going to share some of the things from Seaspiracy. I mentioned Seaspiracy in the... excuse me, in that video that I did, and Didi's actually watched it. I haven't, because I'm a big baby and I don't want to see animals struggling on deck to breathe. So Didi saw that, and she'll probably have things to.
Well,
I don't know. I'm looking at this Seaspiracy site, and they seem to have cleared out some of the. That's weird. They used to have a lot more posts than this, which is weird. Why would they have cleared away those posts?
I don't know. Oh.
Isn't that strange? They had a bunch of posts. Anyway, here's one thing on Seaspiracy. Each year, up to 100 million sharks are killed as bycatch, in quotes, alone, accounting for half of the overall global shark catches. So that's every year 100 million sharks. And they've got pictures of these sharks here, which they look like they don't have any heads. I don't know.
Well, quite possibly. They might have
Because
chopped their heads off.
Yeah, anyway.
Usually it's their tails.
And this is bycatch, so this is just sort of the target fish. They just scoop everything up. And there's many, there's 4 million, 4 million fishing boats in the ocean at any time during every day. 4 million. And they just scoop up everything in their wake. A lot of these big trawlers just drag along and scoop everything up, and that can be sharks and turtles and dolphins and whales, and to get this particular target fish. And that is the nature of fishing today, isn't it? And this would not be happening. People can go, oh my God, that's terrible. We have to stop these big trawlers, I remember a few years ago in Tasmania, there was this big thing about, we've got to stop these big trawlers from trawling around Tasmania because they'll take our fish, that we want to eat. And these big trawlers wouldn't be there if we were vegan. That they're there because of demand for animal products for aquatic animals. And another one that we hear here in Tasmania, because there's a lot of salmon farming in the rivers here. We have salmon farming up the river. There's a few of them.
Unfortunately.
Big, large nets, large netting. They cram as many salmon in there as possible, which is dreadful. It's very, very stressful, anxiety-provoking for those fish. And the way they test out to see if their animal welfare standards, in quotes, is if a fish start dying, then you've put too many fish in the nets. And which is disgusting. And, that's why animal welfare is a joke. It's only really about economic efficiency. It's got nothing to do with actual welfare of animals. And even though if they'd all were in huge ponds where they were able to swim around wonderfully and there was no problems like sea lice, salmon being eaten alive by sea lice, which is really common in salmon farms.
And spreading to the wild population.
Yeah, and spreading to the wild population. Like there's a picture here of a salmon being eaten alive by lice. That's a normal thing in salmon nets, these salmon farming, the sustainable, in quotes. I mean, animal welfare standards in any animal industry are really all about economic efficiency. They've got nothing to do with animals. But like I say, even if those salmon were in massive nets where they could swim freely and people sung them to sleep when they were suffocating on the deck, deck, it wouldn't matter, because it's not, in the end, it's not how we use them that is the issue. It's that we use them at all, because animal use can never be made non-abusive. It'll always be abusive. And in the end, they're all killed. So, I mean, this poor salmon, this little video of this poor salmon with lice all over its head, and it's being eaten alive. I mean, this is the quote-unquote sustainable salmon.
And the salmon often die of disease because they're so crowded into these areas, and the rivers become incredibly polluted as well.
Yeah.
Which kills a lot of other sea life or riverine life. So you end up with all kinds of other death and environmental problems as a result of the salmon farming. It's been a kind of huge issue here in Tasmania because we do so much salmon farming.
Yeah, and it's terrible pollution for the rivers.
That and forestry, because we have the largest temperate rainforest in the world, and it's World Heritage Area, and they talk about delisting it from World Heritage so that they can chop it all down and turn it into wood chips, which is just disgusting. Yeah?
Yeah.
But hey, that's progress. That's the way our world is. And that's what's wrong with it.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a bit more about Seaspiracy, though, the documentary.
Seaspiracy was actually a really good documentary.
I don't think it was
I think
really
it was actually much better
than Cowspiracy.
than Cowspiracy.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I didn't see it.
Cowspiracy focused on
Sorry. Go on.
Cowspiracy focused more on the
Sorry.
refusal of environment groups to deal with animal agriculture.
Sorry.
It went to Greenpeace and the Sierra Club and all of these peak environment organizations and said, why aren't you doing anything about it? It presented facts about animal agriculture, but its major push was about the fact that these environmental organizations receive huge amounts of funding from the animal industry, and they don't talk about the animal industry in spite of the fact that, you know, World Watch Institute or the IPCC, you know, the UN body, have pointed out that animal agriculture is a huge contributor to global warming. Yeah, it's as significant as transport or energy generation, at least. And that's like the IPCC saying that, and they're conservative.
Yes.
The World Watch Institute said
but they're always
cradle to grave it was
Diddy.
much bigger.
But they're always mealy-mouthed, the IPCC.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying.
Anybody who's not vegan tends to be mealy-mouthed. They always say, eat a little bit less fish. Even people or eat a little less meat, that's rubbish. You know, and it's not about, you know, it shouldn't be all about us, although, you know, the environment, of course, is as much a home to non-human animals as it is to us. But it's like, we should, you know, when we pretend like these animals are just resources all the time and that, you know, it doesn't matter if they are pushed to extinction, really. And it only matters because we can't look at them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It only matters that they're not here for our entertainment, so we can look at them. It's not like they have their own lives or anything. Some people might think that, but they're also fetishizing certain animals. They're also, you know, they fetishize elephants and tigers and dolphins and whales, and yet other animals. There's so many other species that all are sentient. They all love life, just like those animals that we fetishize.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, and I sort of think, you know, I wish people would stop just focusing on the environmental impact of animal agriculture and everything, and think about the fact that they're sentient. I mean, we talk about nonviolence all the time, right? On the left,
Yeah.
you know, we want a nonviolent world. We want peace. We don't want war. We want to, and yet we're doing a war on animals every single minute of every day, and it's been going on ever since we arrived on the planet. And people can make all the justifications they want and excuses. Oh, we, you know, this and that in the past and traditions and all of that kind of stuff. But it has no relevance. Whatever you might think about that, it has no relevance today.
One of the saddest things people say is, what about plants? As if they give a shit about plants.
Oh, yes, as if they care about plants. And if people really cared about plants, they wouldn't be eating animals, because animals eat far more plants than vegans do. I mean, they're always going, "Oh, what about plants?" They don't give a
huge amount
plants.
of the plant life of the soy that's produced in the Amazon. I mean, they're chopping down the Amazon for soy, and they're
chopping it down for animal agriculture.
That's being fed to cows.
Yeah, but they're chopping it down.
Virtually all of it.
Most of it.
For grazing.
But
the bit that isn't for grazing is for
soy to feed animals.
Soy to feed animals.
Yeah. But the 5.2 acres
Yeah.
every minute are cleared. This is the latest figures on that. 5.2 acres every minute are cleared for cows to graze in the Amazon rainforest and soy to feed animals in animal feedlots all over the world. So, we are directly involved in, if we are not vegan, we're directly involved in destroying the Amazon rainforest, the lungs of the planet, and now the Amazon rainforest is emitting CO2 instead of being a heat sink. And they expected that to happen in about 10 years' time, but it's already happening now. So that we are, if we're not vegan, you might say, oh, well, that's people in Brazil. No, the flesh,
that's us.
The flesh from those animals is distributed around the world.
Yeah.
The reason
a lot of it actually goes to the United States.
Yeah, but it doesn't. And
people might
say, oh well, Tricia, I'll stop eating beef. That'll help. That'll be my contribution. But the thing is, look at what we're doing to the oceans. Look, I'm going to talk some more about Seaspiracy and what we're doing to the oceans. I mean, it's insane. And by 2045, scientists expect that there will not be any animals, any sentient aquatic animals in the ocean, because we will have fished it all out. And also because it's a feedback loop. We're creating more we're creating more global warming, and then in turn that feeds into the oceans. And at this point now, the oceans are actually warming up, and they're also becoming acid, and little crustaceans, their shells are being dissolved. It's an insanity what we're doing, and it's because we're not vegan. I'm sorry. That might seem inconvenient to people. I was actually glad to see this on their site. I haven't noticed this before, because I've been waiting for this documentary to come out for a few years now. I've been talking about it. About 3 years ago, I did a couple of videos on it, but it hadn't come out, and I wasn't actually sure if it was ever going to come out. And it only just came out a few months ago, Seaspiracy. And so I wasn't really sure, if it looks like the first thing they've got here, what can you do? And it says shift to a plant-based diet. Well, that would be great. I mean, I prefer people just go vegan, meaning reject using animals for food. That's dairy, meat, eggs, fish, etc., clothing, entertainment, and other reasons. Veganism is an ethical position. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a diet. It's not just a diet. It's rejecting all forms of animal use. But I can take that one. So shift to a plant-based diet. That's the first thing they say. So that is great. And if people do that, then these other things won't be a problem. That's the thing. These second and third things, it says end fishing subsidies, 33 billion a year, and enforce no-catch marine reserves protecting 30% of our oceans by 2030. Well, if people actually adopted a plant-based diet, then there wouldn't be people wanting to fish, because they're fishing because we've created demand for those products. Hey, Didi.
Yeah.
So the
absolutely.
second and the third thing are irrelevant if we all shift to a plant-based diet, or preferably go vegan and reject animal use in all its forms. So I'm pleased to see that, because usually in the past, people have been, like these types of things are a bit mealy-mouthed, and I don't know if anybody who's listening to this might have seen Earthlings. Now, I never watched that because I don't want to see all the graphic imagery and stuff, right? The horror.
Yeah.
But that's real animal industry. That's what animal industries are like. So if you want to see Earthlings, but it didn't have any vegan message in it, and people might just by seeing that go vegan, but it would have been much better if they'd had a strong vegan message in it, and that's the problem. A lot of and there's a lot of large animal groups that in the past wouldn't mention veganism because they wanted donations and they didn't want to challenge the public. So I've been a big critic of large animal organizations. They're bloated and they get all these donations, and they never used to mention veganism, but they also would promote humane, in quotes, animal use, which I've said there's no such thing as non-abusive use of animals, and these groups call themselves animal rights groups. Well, if you're for animal rights, then at the very least you should be vegan. So they shouldn't be promoting quote humane end quote animal use, because it doesn't exist, and that is not animal rights. And it also endorses the idea that it's morally acceptable to use animals as long as you treat them humanely, in quotes. Well, that is an absolute delusion, you
Yeah.
know. So anyway, so it's good on the side of Seaspiracy. They sort of suggest that, and they've got plant-based meals as a heading, so that's good. Now, I don't know what I'm not going to really go through the site. I don't know. Hopefully they don't.
One of the Can I
Hopefully,
talk a little bit more
yeah,
about
sure.
the,
Please do.
You know, like one of the amazing things was just how incredible, what an incredible volume of animals and incredible diversity of animals with these drift nets and so on, and the nets that drag nets that just go along the bottom of the ocean and scoop up everything.
Yeah.
You know, they scoop up coral, they scoop up shells, they scoop up, and basically a lot of things just die.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of stuff they catch is a minor part of what they're actually killing,
Yeah.
and that's kind of just hideous and
Yeah.
horrendous.
Oh, did you remember? I read something just recently which said that those catch and release, the idea of catch and release is that you catch them and then you release the fish and they're okay and they swim away. Well, apparently a lot of fish that are caught like that and released have trouble eating after that, and they end up starving. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was never
Oh,
a
this
good...
is the sport fishing.
Yeah.
Catch and
Yes,
release
catch
is
and
like what
release.
they do in
Yes.
Canada and
That's
things
what I'm
like
talking
that.
about, yeah.
Yeah.
So they can't eat properly and they die of starvation. Of course, can you imagine having a hook in your mouth and being dragged along and then, dragged along and then taken, basically if you were a human, have a hook in your mouth and then pushed underwater for a while people take, snapshots of you and
Yeah.
then rip the hook out and then kind of basically throw you back on land. And then you've got this deformed mouth and, of course it's much worse for fish.
Yeah.
But that's that. These are all, they're all fantasies people have, and also they don't think about the reality that fish have sensitive areas on their body. They have, just because they don't display any emotions like what we're familiar with, just because they're not like us, doesn't mean that they don't have sentience. It doesn't mean that they should be treated as lesser. I mean, they don't have to be like us to be morally valuable, to be morally important. They don't have to be like us, and that's something we need to get our head around. That animals, non-human animals, they're sentient. They don't have to be like us at all to be morally important.
No, and they don't have to be mammals. They don't have to be, like.
Hey, Tom.
A lot of people kind of make the excuse that, we could eat, mussels and clams and stuff, because are they sentient? Well, not in any way that we may.
But they're animals.
See, but they're animals.
Yeah.
I mean, I take the biologist's
We don't
definition.
know what's going on anyway.
We don't know.
We have no idea
and clearly,
what's going on.
mussels and clams react to their environment.
Yeah.
I take the biologist's definition, which is very, very broad.
Yeah.
It includes, worms, and it includes, nematodes. It includes all kinds of, it includes really single-celled organisms. I mean, we can't do anything about the single-celled organisms because we can't even see them.
Yeah.
But certainly we can take whatever measures we can to help animals and not harm them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean. I think somebody asked, I don't know if it was the Buddha or some Buddhist saint or something, about the idea of not harming other sentient beings. And they said, well, it's about intentionality.
Yeah.
Basically, if you... okay, that's crashed again. Too bad. Let's see. I can see this is going to happen periodically.
Oh yeah. Why would that be? Why would it be crashing so
Because
often?
my computer needs the C drive needs to be upgraded.
Well, we might.
Because Windows has expanded and expanded, and everything wants to put something on C drive, even when you tell it to put it on something else.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh.
and Windows just. I've got an SSD, which is supposed to be a very fast drive, and it was a good drive at the time.
Right.
And now it's too small, really. And I'm going to have to
Oh, we'll
figure out
have
how
to
to
do
ship.
something
Oh,
about
good.
that. That's
Now
probably
I
expensive.
think Windows has crashed,
Oh no.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
or maybe No Man's Sky is crashing. I don't know. Is Windows still up?
If we end up crashing, then we
No,
might
Windows
have to
is
start
still
again. Okay.
It's No Man's Sky that's crashed.
Anyhow, I remember Dee Dee seeing a video many years ago, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was very sad, really. This little mussel kind of moving across this table. It was trying to get to some kind of water.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's obviously.
They'll shut their shells if they feel a danger.
Yeah.
You know,
And I don't know. There's some vegans in quotes, and you know, who think that because they can't discern anything from these.
But that's an excuse.
I know, but that's what I mean. I was just going to say that it's
Yeah.
just a sad excuse. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Who's
they're
that,
animals,
Roy?
and we don't know what's going on
Hi, Tom. Hi, Roy.
with them, and they're animals. So let's just err on the side of that. Let's just assume that because they're animals, they're sentient,
Yeah.
and just
I mean,
not.
the
not
thing is,
do
we
that.
don't need
No,
to
we
use
don't need any of that.
That's
And-
the bottom line is
Yeah.
we don't need this.
Yeah, we don't need it. And
Yeah.
also, I mean,
It's-
apart from the fact, like, I don't, you know, like, those particular animals too, this is putting aside
Yeah.
the ethical stuff,
Yeah.
they actually, get a lot of toxins because, don't they, Didi? You know
Yeah.
something about that, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, they do. A lot of them are filter feeders, and they absorb huge amounts of toxins from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw too. You know, up in Canada, there was a huge death of. There's about 1 billion animals died recently during that really terrible heat thing, and there was all these mussels had been just cooked to death, basically,
Yeah.
on in some bay.
Basically, they can't move very much. They're mostly fixed to, you know, like generally tidal or just a bit below the tidal areas.
Right. Yeah.
And
so it'd be very hot
but
there.
but that means that they're often around harbors and so
Yeah.
on. And anywhere around a harbor, they're filter feeders, and they can concentrate
Yeah.
pollutants, particularly heavy
Oops.
metals, like 25 to 50 times what's found in the water.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you really don't want to
No.
be eating them.
No.
But, I mean, you shouldn't be eating them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes, they're not.
I mean,
I don't know. It.
the thing, like I say, the main thing is you don't
Sorry.
need to. You know, people have said, well, once upon a time, maybe people needed to do some of that, but you don't need to.
No.
You know.
I must ask Roy if you can tell us if our audio levels are kind of at the same level, Didi and I, because I'm using a different microphone and we're not entirely sure. Sometimes one person is louder than the other. So if you could let us know if we're kind of at the same level of mine needs to go up a bit. I'm having a listen through the television. You want to say something, Didi? So I can get
no,
an idea.
I'll just talk.
That's all right.
Sure.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I just want to see.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
I
that's
think
all right.
mine
That's
is always been pretty good.
that's fairly good.
And that's partly because I've got this thing right in front of me.
Oh, okay. Roy said, yep, perfect listening through Klipsch speakers. I'm not familiar with Klipsch speakers. Are they good? That's hard to say. Klipsch speakers.
Ah, yeah, Klipsch.
There's some German technology of some kind.
Sounds good. Excellent.
So anyway, let me have a look at some of the. I don't know why they took those little facts from the Seaspiracy on Instagram. They had all these great little
bits of
facts, and they've sort of taken down a lot of them, which I have no idea why they have. Let's see. I don't know what they've got they've got sources here, but they don't have any of those great little. So anyway, one fact here is the oceans absorb 4 times the amount of CO2 than the Amazon rainforest. This is on Seaspiracy, so basically,
well, basically, the oceans are full of plants.
Yeah.
Most of them are single-celled plants, which, one of the problems with single-celled plants and with single-celled plants is that they're incredibly delicate. They're only a single cell. And so, our activities can harm them really easily.
Yeah. Here's another fun fact. Plastic breaks down into smaller pieces known as microplastics, which outnumber the stars in the Milky Way by 500 times.
Jesus.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's 700 plus dolphins and whales are killed every year. Oh, every year in Tajai. Well, they're killed every year. There's I think there's thousands killed just worldwide. I'm not sure why they're focusing on Tajai here. I don't like it when places
when somebody
get
focuses a certain
on a certain country, when every country is
killing them,
is fishing and pulling up lots of these whales
in the big nets and stuff,
and whales and dolphins,
drag nets or drift nets. Thousands of dolphins die.
Yeah, thousands of dolphins die. So I don't know why they're picking out Tajai.
And they have these huge factory ships and stuff these days.
Yeah,
and that doesn't make small ships better.
No,
but basically, smaller fishing fleets, or more localized fishing fleets, end up fishing out areas anyway.
Well, yeah, apparently
there are so many fisheries that have been fished out.
Yeah. Apparently sharks are already starting to go extinct because of the fishing like that. And
that's for fins, mainly.
You heard like, and I'm sure though that they use, how there used to be questions in Australia about, you go to these fish and chip shops and they'd say, that shark,
Hokoi or something like that.
So there's 100 million sharks killed as bycatch in quotes in these fishing vessels, and I mentioned there's 4 million floating around the planet right now, ripping up everything in sight, and that is a result of us not being vegan. We're creating demand for those aquatic animals, those aquatic animal products, and meanwhile, I think there was like 100,000. Was it 100,000 whales and dolphins are killed every year? I don't know. It was some sort of crazy amount, just by getting caught up in nets and stuff.
Yeah. Huge amounts.
Oh wow! People kill 11,000 to 30,000 sharks every hour. 11,000 to 30,000 sharks every hour are killed. I mean, it's insane. It's just insane. And I used to contribute to that before I was vegan. When I went vegan 16 years ago, I used to eat fish, and I had this ridiculous idea that because fish were swimming around in the ocean, that was just fine, because they got to live a quote-unquote good life. As if, I'm allowing them, this human supremacist attitude I had at the time, I'm allowing them to have a good life before I put them on my plate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's messed up.
It's messed up.
40%.
It's badly
Oh.
messed up.
Oh, it says here 50 million sharks. Sorry, I saw some other thing of 100 million, but it says here 50 million sharks are killed every year as bycatch. Okay, so an Iceland fishery in 1 month killed approximately 269 harbour porpoises, 900 seals of 4 different species, and 500 seabirds. Well, that's just fabulous.
Yeah. But that's again, specific
specific
countries and
to
stuff.
countries,
But I mean,
yeah, that's right.
all of them are doing this.
Oh, there's actually 4.6 million commercial fishing vessels in the world.
But I mean, it was really shocking. I mean, the thing about that is they really focused on how many animals how many fish and stuff we're killing,
Hey,
how
Jera.
many fisheries we're destroying, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It goes way beyond, just a simple, we're catching too many fish with our nets. It's like we're depopulating the ocean.
Yeah. And this is the another fact. Over 300,000 whales, dolphins, and porpoises are killed as quote unquote bycatch every year. See, that's something. That's why it's kind of stupid when they target a certain country and vilify that country, like Japan or whatever, or China or whatever, for different sorts of animal use. When when it's happening all over the world, and you can't sort of say, oh well, you can't ignore the whole bycatch thing. That is
No.
It's as bad as the actual fishing of that target fish. I mean, it doesn't matter if the
really bottom line, the issue is that we're depopulating the sea, and
well, the issue is that it's great violence. That's the first thing.
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And it's completely unnecessary. It's completely and utterly, like, there's no part of that is needed. It's all just choice. It's all just to satisfy our sense of taste, or the fact that we like prawns, or the fact that we like and people engage in all kinds of incredibly damaging fishing practices, but there aren't any really good fishing practices. Like they might be destroying reefs in order to catch fish, but that's not an excuse. It's not like, oh, but if you've only fished a different way, it's okay, because it isn't.
Well, no. Well, it doesn't matter how you fish. Really.
No, it doesn't matter how you fish.
No. But Roy was saying shark fin trade is horrific. They just cut fins off and let sharks die in the water. Yes, there's that. But I mean, like I was mentioning before, 50 million sharks are killed as bycatch, in quotes, and they just die in the water too. So it's all awful. There's no worse than any other. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, yes, shark fin soup is stupid, but so is eating animals is violence. The whole thing is violence.
The whole thing.
And it doesn't matter.
There's no better or worse way to kill animals. There's no better or worse excuse for killing them.
They all suffocate, and they're all sentient, and we don't need to use them. And that's why it's particularly unfortunate, and it's something that we need to really think about. They're not just pieces of flesh on our plates. They were sentient beings who loved life just like we do and did not want to die, and they died in awful ways, and they died unnecessarily. And not only that, but we're draining the ocean of fish, and we see and other aquatic animals. All the animals that we claim we fetishize, like dolphins and whales and all of that, they're no more morally important than small fish. It doesn't matter. They're all sentient. There's no levels of sentience. And we're all responsible because we're all creating demand for those animal products. We're all creating demand for aquatic animals, and so it's not the fault of the big fishing vessels. It's not the fault of any government. It's not Japan's fault. It's not China's fault. It is our fault because we're not vegan. It's really that simple. I know people tend to want to always blame outside of themselves, and that was my point in my video tonight. The video I just did earlier on. We're always sort of looking outwardly, and that even
to find fault with someone else,
to find fault out there, and to blame a corporation, or to blame capitalism, or to blame, whatever, to blame this and that. But in the end, it actually comes back to us, and it's the same. It always ends up in some way coming back to us. So that was my point, and that's what it kind of makes me despair a bit when I sit in live streams like I did today, and you mentioned veganism because they're talking about climate change, and then there's crickets, and then the next thing you've got somebody trying to troll you because they can't handle what you're saying and they want you to shut up. Please shut up, Tricia. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. And on, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pulling out all these sad excuses. One excuse after another, and after a while you just think, I'm not going to even bother addressing it, and it's like block. I just can't be bothered anymore. I mean, if people want to die of starvation because, basically, like we read, the ocean is more is taking up more CO2 than the Amazon rainforest, it seems. Yes.
Yes.
So if we end up completely stuffing up the ocean, which is what we're doing. And we're making it so hot now, and it's getting to the point where it can't even absorb it anymore, right, Didi?
Yes.
So, I mean, we're actually, while we're doing this, while we're mucking up the ocean like this with our non-veganism, we're killing ourselves.
The ocean has done amazing things.
We're killing ourselves, aren't we, Didi?
Yeah.
We're actually, it's almost like it's a mirror. What we're doing to the oceans, we're mirroring with ourselves. We're actually, while we're killing the oceans with our non-veganism, and while we're killing the Amazon rainforest and all the other forests and all the land shortages and all of that, we are killing ourselves. What we're doing to the planet, we're doing to ourselves. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we don't want to get a grip on that, then, we'll just continue on down that path. And, we can say, yes, fossil fuels, they're dreadful in the military-industrial complex. Yes, it's dreadful. Capitalism has to end. Yes, that's really
And that's
awful.
all true.
And that's all true, and I'm all for that. I talk about it all the time. But the thing is that being vegan is something we could do right now. We don't have to wait for any permission from any corporation or from our parents or from our friends. All we have to do is do a little bit of investigation. It doesn't take much. It's really easy. It's better for us, better for the planet, better for other non-human animals, and better for this to help seriously address this climate crisis. And if anybody follows this channel, I ad nauseum repeat this, which I'm going to do it again, because I think it's really, really important.
Well, it's an incredibly significant fact.
Yeah.
And
let me read
people
this
just
study.
ignore it.
I try to put this study out because it's like everybody has this kind of historical amnesia because it's inconvenient. But this study published in the journal Science created a huge database based on almost 40,000 farms in 119 countries and covering 40 food products that represent 90% of all that is eaten. It assessed the full impact of these foods from farm to fork on land use, climate change emissions, freshwater use and water pollution, eutrophication and air pollution, acidification. And the conclusion was, quote, a vegan diet, which a diet free of eggs, dairy, meat, fish, etc., is probably the single biggest way to reduce your impact on planet Earth, not just greenhouse gases, but global acidification, eutrophication, land use and water use, end quote, said Dr. Joseph Poore at the University of Oxford, UK, who led the research. Quote, it is far bigger than cutting down on your flights or buying an electric car, end quote, he said, as these only cut greenhouse gas emissions. And then the new research shows that without meat and dairy consumption, global farmland use could be reduced by more than 75%, an area equivalent to the US, China, European Union and Australia combined, and still feed the world. loss of wild areas to agriculture is the leading cause of the current mass extinction of wildlife. And I'll just read that bit again. The new research shows that without meat and dairy consumption, global farmland use could be reduced by more than 75%, an area equivalent to the US, China, European Union, and Australia combined, and still feed the world. Loss of wild areas to agriculture is the leading cause of the current mass extinction of wildlife. In other words, the sixth mass extinction. So anyway, like I don't know, and other research shows 86% of all land mammals are now livestock, in quotes, for humans. 86% of all land mammals are now, quote unquote, livestock for humans. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy sort of figure. Anyway,
I mean, that's just disgusting.
yeah, it is, and like I mean, that's no insignificant study. It's not insignificant. It's actually particularly that this figures about, you know, the amount of land left, you know, when animal agriculture stops, Dee.
Yeah.
You know, that's continents, and still feed the planet without those continents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
a huge amount of land.
An amazing
continents.
amount. If we are worried at all, if we think at all about the fact that, you know, climate is going to really interfere with food production,
Oh, hi, Diane.
the idea that we should have, make sure that we have good arable land is incredibly important.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, we look around here, and there's just pastures and of you know, you'll get a few cows on these huge pastures, and I think, you know, all those pastures that have been cleared of trees and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Where animals have been driven out so they can make these pastures so some cows can eat grass.
Yeah.
You know, it's nuts, and it's sort of like, you know what I mean? It's just nuts.
It is.
And there's like pastures everywhere, you know. There's been huge amounts of forest cleared and animals driven out, and then everybody's wringing their hands about the bettongs going extinct. That's a special, a specific little marsupial. You know, I read this thing today, which is amazing to me, about, you know, how wild pigs are causing a climate crisis because they're digging holes and releasing gases and stuff like this. And I mean, I just think to myself, good God in heaven, you know what I mean? When you
Yeah.
know, are you listening to me?
I am listening.
I
Yes.
think, good God in heaven, you know, like here we are with a study like that,
Yeah.
and you've got some idiot sort of writing about pigs causing the climate crisis.
Right.
Sure,
Yeah.
they might be contributing to it, but look what we're doing. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, look everywhere and even try and blame animals for
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Blame animals.
Unbelievable.
And coming up with, we can genetically engineer cows so they don't fart.
Oh,
Which is-
yes.
Somebody's
Yes.
talking about
Anything but
I mean,
do the right thing. Let's try and engineer cows that don't fart.
Yes.
Like, what a
insanity.
fucking shit show.
Yeah.
What a fucking shit show, Dee.
Yeah. I mean, what is wrong with people?
Yeah, like,
I mean, really, what
you know,
the hell is
anything but
wrong?
do the fucking right thing. Anything but fucking just you know, like, it's just
Yeah.
astonishing to me, particularly
Anything
at
but
this
do the
late
right
stage,
thing.
Dee.
Yeah.
Particularly at this late stage where it's looking very grim.
Yeah.
So grim that
Very grim.
I think that everybody's getting a grip on the fact that it's probably not likely human beings are going to survive past this century.
Yeah.
And I'd say that's being generous,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because there's such a feedback loop now, right?
Yeah.
And yet we're still hanging on to these fucking animal products.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's
Yeah.
so simple, and I'm sorry if people find this a bit confronting, how I'm talking,
Oh,
but
wow.
I'm really over it at the moment. It's like I had to listen to some tosser in a live stream going on and pulling out all this ridiculous non-scientific bullshit. And you could tell that his cognitive dissonance was in overdrive, and he couldn't handle me suggesting that maybe we need to stop using animals. Oh my God, that is for Bolton, because animal use is like breathing. We
Yeah.
can't fucking stop using animals.
Yes.
What the fuck? How will we
How will we
How will we
live?
cope
How can
if we're
we
not
cope?
the fucking
Yes.
crown of creation, and we can't just fucking dominate and dominate and dominate? You know, it's not enough. It's not enough that we trying to destroy one another. We have to continue dominating this vulnerable group. This vulnerable
Yeah.
group that is 99.99% of the planet's population,
Yeah.
and all we can do is want to continue on, because what can they do to stop us? They can do nothing.
They can
to
do
stop us.
well. No.
There's not a fucking thing they can do to
Yeah.
stop us. And we're they're the most vulnerable sentient beings on the planet, and this is what we do. And that's why I said in that video tonight, I said we will never, ever, ever know
Have
peace,
peace. Yeah.
until we stop persecuting and torturing and killing trillions of animals, the most vulnerable group on the planet, every single year. We will
Yeah.
never, ever, 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 ever know
No
peace
peace.
until we stop doing that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if we can do that, we can do anything. We can do any fucking thing. And we do any fucking thing. We do
Yeah.
it to one another. We're doing it to the most vulnerable human groups on the planet. Look at how we treat Palestinians. We treat them like, in quotes, animals. We treat them like fucking animals, is how we treat Palestinians. And why do you think we're able to do that? Because we're doing it all the time to another vulnerable group,
Yeah.
the biggest group on the planet. That's why we do to Palestinians what we do. Because this is the mindset. You know,
Yep.
where we have one ignorance like that, when we have one discrimination, we'll have all forms. You
Yeah.
know, and where you have one, you'll have all forms, and
Yeah.
it all leads to violence. So
Yeah.
where we're doing it to the most vulnerable, we can do it to any fucking body, and we do.
And we do. Yeah.
Yeah, and the homeless, exactly. The homeless,
Yeah.
that is another group.
Yeah.
We do it because we can. We stomp on them. We vilify them for being in a position that they've been put in that position because of fucking capitalism.
It's
and because now we vilify them and demonize them and lock them up for the fact that they've been put in that position by a system that is completely unjust, and we don't care about them. If that isn't a spiritual death, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Isn't it, Dee Dee?
Absolutely.
That is a complete spiritual death.
it is a mindset that all of life and all of people are just objects, things for us to use.
Yeah.
If we can use them, and that includes other people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That includes, like, and if they're in there are two types of things out there. There are the things we want and can use, and the things that are in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is in animal terms, it's the domesticated animals and the pests,
Yeah.
or the wild
Yeah.
animals we like,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
look at, and the pests.
You know that saying, a weed is only something that we haven't found a use for.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? That's just
Yeah.
a sort of like
What a
everything
wonderful
is
thought
like
that is.
what can we use now? I mean, I've even seen people selling snails
Yeah,
in fucking little containers for people to buy.
yeah,
A pet snail. I mean, in capitalism, and I'm not putting aside that this is all because we see animals as property, but capitalism is anything can be used as a
anything can be
resource.
used. I mean, anything can be used. Anything, it's all good. It's all
And I'll
grist
keep
for the
thinking
mill,
of stupid
and that
things.
includes people. That
Yeah.
you look at the way, corporations
Oh,
and
if you ain't in the
businesses and
club, you're
stuff
fodder.
think
That's a
about
good one,
people,
Diane.
and it's really that same mindset.
Mm.
They see human labor as an input.
Mm.
It's not people; it's an input. That you need more of or less of, that can be used. That the cost can be minimized. It's not people at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that mindset that things are here to use, it goes right back to the way we treat nature,
Mm.
and it goes right back to the way we treat animals.
Yeah.
I mean, they are beings that are sharing this planet with us.
Yeah.
You know, they have every bit as much right to exist as we do. Yeah, they are essential very often to the ecologies that we have. You know, we've fucked up ecologies by eliminating species of animals or large amounts of animals.
If
But
animals
even
could,
that way of thinking, you know, that oh no, we fucked up this by eliminating that, is still, you know, that this inconveniences us in some way. Yeah, it's not about us.
no,
I'll stop talking now.
no,
I'm
it's
sorry, I
fine. Why do you want to stop talking?
get,
I was going to talk about my own animal use. Like,
yeah,
you know, there was a time back in 1980. 1984. I was living in this house in Brisbane, and it was a share house. And this woman, one of the people in this house, she was vegetarian, which is not good. It's just non-veganism, right? But anyway, she was vegetarian, and I said to her, and at the time I wasn't even vegetarian. So she said to me, I said to her one day, I remember this really clearly, I said, why don't you eat fish? Because I found that really odd, because I thought, well, you know, fish get to swim in the ocean, so, you know, that's all right. And then, you kill them, and that's fine. And she said, oh, because, now, this is what she said, and it's a weird thing to say, but I got the point. She said, because it's a mussel in the ocean, you know, and I think what she meant is it was a living being in the ocean. That's sort of how I interpreted it. And I always remember that, because I sort of, I knew what she meant by that, and it always stuck in my mind, and I went in and out of this is the problem with vegetarianism, and also not having a strong ethical position about animals. You know, vegetarianism is nowhere to me, right? But not having a strong position, I was sort of in and out of vegetarianism most of my life. Which is really unfortunate. And there was even a time where I was pescatarian when I was living in Melbourne, which is kind of nuts.
yeah,
And I thought that was fine. And I thought it was fine because I had this weird idea that because, you know, fish could swim in the sea, that, you know, they're not in cages, and then, you know, that's fine. That's not fine. They were happily swimming in the sea. They had a life. They were sentient. And I ended up having somebody kill them for me. You know, that's not fine.
yeah,
You know, but
It's
I mean,
not.
in my head, because I still had this position that somewhere in my head that animals were resources, right?
yeah,
That even, you know, that they were lesser in a way.
yeah,
You know, I had different views about different animals, like cats and dogs. You know, I had more regard for them, right?
yeah,
And then other animals that were used as for farming and stuff, I had a different position.
Yeah.
Although if I'd met one in a pasture, or if I'd met one in a shelter or something, I would have had a different position again, because I was seeing them, you know, instead of an en masse group, I would have seen them as an individual.
Yeah.
So, but I had this wishy-washy.
Well, I had that
species-
same
I had
thing.
this wishy-washy
Yeah.
speciesist position, and it continued on until I read something about the dairy industry and realized it's a horror story, and that's normal. That's
Yeah.
the normal functionings of a dairy industry.
Yeah,
That's when I realized that all industries, all
Yeah.
of them, no matter if they're organic, you know, in quotes,
yeah,
or free range in quotes, or whatever, they're all horror stories, and so all of it's a problem. And then you get to the point where you realize that it doesn't matter how they're used; it's just wrong.
yeah.
You know. But sorry, Didi, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say that, echo what you were saying, that, you know, like for me, I had a period where I was thinking, yeah, well, I mean, it's terrible what we do with animals in captivity, you know,
Yeah.
domesticated animals, but fish are wild. They get to have their whole life there. You know, the same sort of thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thought, well, okay.
But isn't that scary?
But it takes
don't you think that's scary though? When you like when I look back at how I used to view animals, right?
Yeah.
I sort of look back and I think, wow, I was so speciesist
Yeah.
because I just kind of assumed they're all here, they're all in the paddocks and everything, and that's how it should be. You know,
Yeah.
they're all there, and I didn't
Yeah,
even
that's
think,
very scary.
and I didn't even think about them getting onto the plate, right?
Yeah.
I just saw them and thought, oh, isn't that lovely? You know, cows in pastures, isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
You know, and little hens. You know, of course, hens are. You know, it's very unusual for hens to be actually out. I mean, even now they're sticking them in cages like little tractors and stuff.
Yeah.
Permaculture and bullshit. But and also, you know, like running around, people, they're usually used for eggs and backyard eggs, and that's its own problem. And I can post a link to that because that's assuming their products are ours.
Yeah.
And they also have an attachment to eggs, obviously, and they also oftentimes chooks, you know, hens will eat eggs because they get nutrition from it.
Well, hens, I mean, if you look back at some of the history, and there's a number of comments there, you may want to look at them while I'm talking.
I think they're talking about Australia and the Five Eyes or whatever.
Yes, because Australia is just another part of the Five Eyes heap of shit.
Yeah.
You know, where everybody's spying.
But
on
anyway,
everybody.
I
but,
just
but
wanted...
what I
go
was
on.
saying that chickens, you know, like if you look back at historical records, you know, in a couple of 100 years ago, chickens might produce, you know, like 30 or 40 eggs a year.
Right.
They didn't produce eggs every day.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
they've been bred to do that.
Yeah.
And it takes a huge metabolic it's a
Well, let me read.
huge
Let me read.
metabolic cost.
Didi, let me read the free range eggs section of UVE archives, okay?
Yeah.
Because this explains. This
Well,
is
I
the
just-
good. This is the good type of. This is the good type of, you know, in quotes, the good type of egg farming
Yeah.
that everybody sort of says. Oh, but don't worry, it's free range, okay? So
I have to say I personally like the one from Gentle World, the free range egg thing.
Oh, okay. I can read that too, but I mean, this is kind of fairly
This is good.
straightforward.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, consider the lives of, quote, free range, end quote, hens. Free range, and I'll just assume that free range has quotes,
This is
quotes
industrial
around it.
free range, I think.
No, but this is what people think is the good
Yeah, the good
egg,
one.
egg farming. Okay, this is the free range that everybody's sort of saying, oh, let's make it free range.
I'm buying free range eggs.
Yes, I'm buying free range eggs. Isn't this great? Okay. So, and just assume that free range has quotes around it. So, free range egg producers generally purchase layer hens from the same hatcheries as traditional egg producers. Half of the chicks born in the hatcheries are males who are disposed of, often in cruel ways, including being thrown live into machines that grind up their bodies or into trash bags and or large dumpsters where they either starve or suffocate to death. Further, since layer hens, in quotes...
Can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
Often, you know, like the industry will try and find a use for anything like
Yeah.
the ground up chicks,
Yeah.
and what
Fertilizer.
they tend to use fertilizer or animal feed.
Yeah, that's right. They'll feed ground up chicks to other animals, and that's not unusual. They'll
Including
feed
chickens.
euthanize, including chickens. They'll make them cannibals by feeding them, you know, their own ground up chickens. And they also they'll feed whatever they can get away with. They'll grind up feathers. This is industrial free range farming. They'll grind up feathers and feed it to chickens. They also feed them huge amounts of antibiotics, like huge amounts, because they're so all still cramped together. And this isn't the so-called factory farming, but free range is just like factory farming in quotes, right? Because it's meeting
Industrial
demand.
free range.
Industrial free range. It's meeting demand, and that's what most free range is now. Industrial.
Well, if you get it from a store, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So they're grounding up feathers. They're even using dead animals, any sort of meat they
And-
can find that's byproducts, including euthanized cats and dogs. That's been used to feed cows in feedlots. Like they feed them whatever they can get away with, don't
Yeah.
they, Didi? Including millions of tons of antibiotics as a prophylactic measure, because they're all stressed out and they're all, suffering.
And they're living in situations where they're subject to disease.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that creates superbugs, antibiotic-resistant superbugs, which is something that is barely mentioned. Like, people will go, oh, we're going into a post-antibiotic world. Well, yes, we are. And one of the reasons is because industrialized farming, and don't get me wrong, I'm not promoting mom and pop farms, because they've got their own set of problems, and and they're just using animals, and they take their children away from them. They kill animals when they're not productive. I'm not suggesting that at all, but I'm just saying, and we're never going to be able to go back to that mom and pop thing, because we're a population that is growing, and the reason industrialized farming exists is because we have to meet demand for animal products. So factory farming, in quotes, is never going to go away, and that's why free range is industrialized, because it's a scam to sell expensive animal products.
And industrial free range, I think they were negotiating the limits. I think it's like a free range. You can still call it a free range farm if you have under 20,000 birds.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like it's
a
not
huge.
It's not like a few chooks.
And they'll be lucky if they get outside to exercise to find the hole that they're supposed to get outside to exercise.
That means it's possible for them
it's
to
possible,
get out.
but hardly anybody finds their way out. And they're all stuffed in there, and there's dead birds laying around, and birds pecking one another because they're so anxious that they can't get any space. They can't. I don't know if you've ever seen hens and what they do as a natural thing. They go around and they scratch that's what they do all day. They scratch in the dirt. They'll have little dust baths. They'll even, get into a little pond and shake. I used to live next to somebody that had hens in their yard, and they would, sort of roam around and scratch in the dirt and have little dust baths and stuff. So I know what they do, and they're very communicative. So anyway, I'll continue on with this. So half of the chicks born in the hatcheries are males who are, quote, disposed of in cruel ways, including being thrown alive into machines that grind up their bodies, or into trash bags or large dumpsters where they either starve or suffocate to death. Further, since layer hens typically are not sufficiently productive, after 2 years they are sent to slaughter. At the time, the free-range egg industry relies heavily on the routine mass slaughter of animals to be economically feasible. The lives of free-range layer hens before slaughter are generally a living hell. The free-range egg label means only that the birds are permitted some access outdoors, even if it's only a minuscule fraction of the space of the large shed in which they live. Because of intensive overcrowding in these sheds, and because chickens are social animals who have a literal pecking order, their sensitive beaks are cut with a hot blade to cauterize the blood flow, so they cannot hurt each other in trying to establish an impossible order in such crowded conditions. Also, due to the crowding and large, often poorly lit sheds, the conditions of the typical free-range facility are filthy, with excrement on the floor in which the hens live, and extremely poor air quality due to the lack of ventilation. In addition to the harsh living conditions, the hens are genetically designed to be enormously productive in laying eggs, which causes them to be less healthy than traditional hens. The poor health of layers is largely due to the fact that chickens who are not exploited eat most of their eggs in natural conditions. Often only a small percentage of eggs hatch, replenishing the nutrients they lose in the eggs they produce. When their eggs are taken from the hens lose the opportunity to replenish the nutrients lost in producing the egg. Genetically designed, highly productive layers lose even more nutrients and end up even poorer in health because they lose more eggs to humans than natural hens.
Well, as I said, natural hens, lay like 26.
Yeah.
I mean, before they were bred,
Yeah.
or when they were like a couple of hundred years ago, they were still bred.
Yeah.
But I mean, they only laid, you know, what, 26 eggs.
Yeah.
You know, they were like most birds.
Yeah.
They laid enough to reproduce themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
They
and
didn't.
they also do this thing. Battery farming, by the way, is much worse than this. You know, the battery hens production is way worse than this, and this is bad enough.
Yeah.
The egg production of hens peaks when the hens are around 7 months old and drops significantly at around 15 months old. To get an extra 6 months of production out of the hens, free-range producers will engage in a practice called forced molting to imitate the conditions of the winter-spring transition. In forced molting, the hens are starved for several days up to 14 days, and the lighting in the shed is dimmed. Hens can lose up to 30% of their body weight during this starvation process, and some of the weaker hens, already malnourished from not being able to consume their own eggs, are killed as a result. Several weeks after the forced molt ends, production is back to normal. After the free-range hens are spent, in quotes, a condition in which they no longer produce eggs at a commercially viable rate and in which their health has deteriorated significantly from both the wretched living conditions and from losing nutrients from egg production loss, the hens are transported to slaughter. Both transportation and slaughter can mean some of the most intensive cruelty the hens have yet experienced. They and their bones are very weak from giving so much nutrition for so long without replenishment from eating their own eggs. When they are handled roughly in transportation and slaughter, their bones are often broken. Also, layer hens are generally not used for human meat consumption. The meat is of very poor quality due to the poor health of the hens. Free-range hens end up at the same slaughterhouses as any other chicken, where they are often intentionally tortured, hurled against the wall and stomped upon by frustrated workers in poor working conditions with low pay. Even if the free-range chickens are not intentionally tortured, some miss the electric, quote, stunning, end quote, bath and neck blade.
Oh no, this is the real horror story stuff.
From struggling upside down in their leg shackles, and instead are boiled alive in the defeathering scalding tank. So this is the good so-called good farming of hens for eggs, right? This is supposedly the good form of farming, the humane form. Commercially viable egg production, regardless of the label, free-range, cage-free or organic, is extremely cruel to chickens. As mentioned above, hens who are not exploited eat most of their eggs as a natural way to replenish many of the nutrients they lose in producing eggs. Even in the best conditions imaginable, such as in a sanctuary or in the wild, it is unhealthy and exploitive to the hens to take their eggs from them. When we add the extremely cruel living conditions that free-range hens endure, along with the mass slaughtering that is required to keep egg production economically feasible, consuming eggs simply makes no sense at all for anyone concerned about the treatment or slaughter of animals. So anyway, that's the free-range eggs, and later on I'm going to read the organic milk, which is just as much fun as the free-range eggs. So get ready for that one. And I know we're spending a lot of time talking about animal use and veganism, but I think it's about time people actually really hear what it's truly like and stop looking the other way and stop going la 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 la. I can't, I don't want to know, because if I find out, I might have to do something. We have to break through that sort of I don't want to know because that's going to make me uncomfortable, and then I'm going to have trouble continuing on that behavior. We're going to have to get a hold of it, aren't we, Dee Dee?
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, so this is like, this is the thing we get fed. We get fed a whole lot of propaganda by animal agriculture, but this is, but we don't like to look into it further, and the reason being is because we're comfortable in our animal use, and we also won't allow ourselves to think that those animals have the same sentience that the animals that we have shared our homes with over the years, like cats and dogs. I mean, if you've ever seen, there's this great site on Instagram. It's
the one
actually
with the cows.
it's actually a
Yeah.
sanctuary in Brazil. They promote veganism regularly, and that's why I mention them, because a sanctuary that doesn't promote veganism to me is very odd. You know, I mean, because the only way to stop animals from ending up in sanctuaries is for people to stop using them. And, you know, they've only got they'll only have, you know, a handful coming in here and there. But there's a lot of animals, of course, in the world that, I mean, it's all abusive. So all animals need to be rescued from these places. But the way to not have to do that is if there's no demand for those animals in the first place, and then they wouldn't be there. But anyway, this animal sanctuary in Brazil is, I'll leave a link to it, because it's lovely watching their videos. And you can see it's very clear. You know, you'd have to be telling yourself some real whoppers to believe that these animals aren't just like the dogs and cats whom we love. You know, you'd have to be really, really trying hard not to acknowledge, you know, that they're totally like the animals that we say we love and are family members.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's called, the name of this sanctuary is called you'd probably be able to pronounce it, Diana or Jera. Sanctuario Amor
Morca Salva.
Salva. Dreadful pronunciation. Anyway, so I'll post a link, and just check out the lovely videos in that. They're so, and it's a vegan sanctuary. Anyway,
they're really lovely.
Anyway, and this is
those animals are just so sweet.
Excuse me. And I don't know why Seaspiracy doesn't have any on Instagram, why they took down those excellent, lucky I think I saved a bunch of them for a few years ago, so hopefully I've still got them. But anyway, there's the link to Seaspiracy on Instagram. They have a few different things there. Hopefully my microphone isn't popping too much.
If it is, please let us know.
Yeah, I don't know where the little wind thing is for it. The, what do they call that? The wind shield or something?
The pop shield.
Pop shield, yeah. And normally I don't use this microphone. I use a headset, but I thought just for a change,
you would try it out. Let me see if I can find the pop shield.
Oh, so Diana said her daughter and her family have 3 chickens. They lay 1 egg each day. The chickens are pets. They jump up in their laps. It's adorable.
Yeah. Of course, you know, any chicken that's been bred for laying does lay that many eggs, but it's not a natural thing at all. That they
no, and also
and for real health, they need to be fed the eggs back.
Yeah, and also a lot of you know.
Although the best way to do that is actually, can I just say,
yeah,
is and it's something we used to do, is break up the shells very, very fine, like put it on someplace where the wind will blow it into the yard.
Right.
So that they're not identifying it as eggs. Otherwise, they will just eat their own eggs in the nest.
Well, you know, our next door neighbor, I don't know what on it, she was giving them this sort of mush at the end of the day, which had all this sort of, I think it had like not seashells, but crustacean shells or something. It was all these different sorts of things. I guess it was replacing that. But I mean, it's just so messed up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're feeding animals shells so that then you can eat their animal products, which, by the way, are a horror story for health. Like eating one egg is supposed to be the equivalent of smoking 6 cigarettes. It's got like 500 milligrams of cholesterol in it. It's kind of insane. And, you know, cholesterol and which leads to high blood pressure is actually, you know, a very strong indicator of developing Alzheimer's and dementia, because it coats the inside of your cranial arteries and makes it difficult for blood perfusion in your head. And so, you know, it's becoming it's a, you know, high blood pressure and cholesterol and atherosclerosis are sort of you know, kind of you know, you're predisposed to dementia and Alzheimer's. I mean, Alzheimer's isn't a foregone conclusion, and neither is dementia really. But I mean, so many people are eating animal products, and they've got, you know,
Your mother's proof of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. My mother hardly ate anything at all towards the end, but she was she had really, really good, she wasn't a vegan, but I mean, she didn't really eat much of anything, so it's not, and she was underweight. But her mental faculties were great at the end of her life. You know, like a lot of people, and I mean, it can happen to anyone, of course. I suppose people could, maybe people can have a predisposition to you know, genetic predisposition to things. But I mean, if everybody's eating animal products and you know, animal fat is in all of them, then, you know, it's going to contribute to, you know, I mean, it's just taken for granted that people have high blood pressure in the end, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
isn't it? Everybody.
I had a little bit of hypertension, which was unusual for me because, in general, my blood pressure has been low. I've tended to have low blood pressure rather than high, and so you know, like, hang on, I'm just going to stop here for a minute. I've usually had low blood pressure rather than high.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, I looked at a couple of things, and I ended up having one of those 24-hour blood pressure monitors, and it turned out my blood pressure was still low, but it's like all of the doctors kind of said, "Oh no, your blood pressure is fine. It's well within limits for your age."
Yeah, your age,
yeah,
and,
you know,
and
it's
like it was totally
assumed,
not okay.
It's assumed that people who are older are going to have high blood pressure.
Yeah,
it's virtually assumed that you're going to be on some sort of medication.
Yeah. And that's just ridiculous. And that's because you know, most people eat animal products, so they assume you're going to have a certain level of high blood pressure, which is not great. And let's see, there's this. I want to read something out to people because I want people to think about what happens to your body when you eat. Let me see. There's so much on this site.
This is frozen again.
Huh? Oh no. The game is frozen again.
It keeps crashing on me.
What is the name of that? There's a certain name and I've forgotten it.
Of what?
Of when you eat meat or animal products in general, you suddenly get this inflammation in your body every time you eat animal products, and it's endotoxemia. That's it. It's called endotoxemia, and it says, let me see. It basically, says that if you're ingesting animal products, it can promote this systemic inflammatory episodes, and it can sort of predispose subjects to atherosclerosis and insulin resistance, because animal fat actually causes insulin resistance in the muscle, and that's sort of more what happens to diabetics rather than some of the other things that they keep pushing about eating sweets and stuff. I mean, animal fat, it causes insulin resistance in the muscles. Anyway, this endotoxemia, like every time somebody eats, and that's not normal. You shouldn't. What what you eat shouldn't be causing immediate inflammation in
Yeah.
your system if it's
Endotoxin
supposed to be
is
there.
toxins from inside,
What's that?
internally produced toxins. Endo from inside.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that shouldn't be something that's happening. You don't,
Yeah.
if you eat fruit and vegetables and beans and stuff, you don't get an inflammatory response.
No.
You just don't. So there's something wrong,
Yeah.
you know, that it your body is telling you this doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's heaps of information about that. I can't actually find something that sort of is succinct that I can read out about that particular thing. But just to sort of say that it's it's a problem.
It is.
And dairy, and that's just one thing. I mean, it creates it creates problems in your intestines, obviously, and there's so many things. I'll just put have a look, search on this site for the different animal products, and you'll see the nightmare that is animal products. It just doesn't belong in our bodies, and I think I'd be having real problems with my health if I'd continued on eating animal products, because I have a fairly strong predisposition to diabetes. My birth father, I found out, died when he was like, I don't know, 50 or something.
Yeah.
You know, my birth father
Yeah.
died when he was about 50, and he had diabetes, you know, there's been a lot of death. Like, I'm adopted, and there's been a lot of death in the biological relatives, you know,
Yeah.
early death, and I'm not sure if it was hemochromatosis or it was you know, diabetes or whatever, or high blood pressure. So, you know, I have this sort of genetic kind of predisposition to those things, and I
Yeah.
think if I hadn't been you know, if I hadn't been vegan, I think I'd probably have some real problems, you know?
Yeah.
Don't you?
I do. Yeah. I think you'd have.
And
Had
you
some-
might too, Didi, because your
Well-
mother had some problems with
My mother did. But my mother had some
Hey,
problems
Tom.
with dementia. And I think some of her ancestors had problems with dementia.
yeah.
Basically, we come from a bunch of crazy people.
Crazy people. You don't have to be crazy to have
They
dementia.
go crazy as they get older. But also, you know, like I look at like my great-great-grandmother, and she lived to be 95, although she was a peasant agricultural worker, you know, like in Scotland. I mean, women in that situation who are alone and you know, working the fields and that kind of stuff. She lived to be 95. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, my great uncle, who I visited in Romania, I mean, he was still herding sheep at that kind of an age.
Right.
He was in his late 90s. I think he was 98, and he was still herding sheep. You know, like, that's pretty good going.
Yeah.
And he was completely compos mentis. Yeah. But I know I have issues on my father's side with, you know, stroke and other kinds of problems. There's a history of heart attack on my father's side. And I'm guessing a lot of that is dietary, because I look at some of my older relatives who were probably poor and not eating that much stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they seem to live for quite a long time.
Right.
Yeah, I think modern living shortened a number of people in my family's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and modern living means eating a lot of meat generally.
Yeah. 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 And dairy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes when I see people, you know, eating yogurt and they think it's all healthy and stuff, and I see them putting all this fat in their system, and I think, oh my God, it's like I'm watching somebody poison themselves.
Yeah.
It's really hard to watch,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you can't kind of sit there and kind of go through I mean, you know, just the links with dairy and breast cancer and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
and people are told it's healthy and they get their calcium from it and all. Yeah, they say, you know, oh, eat dairy, it's good for your bones and rubbish like that.
Yeah.
It
You
actually
need it.
leaches
They're
stuff.
told you need it.
Yes, you need it. Yeah. Like I was watching this video the other day about intermittent fasting, and this woman she was saying, you know, how great it was, and yes, it's very good. It really is. We were talking about that the other night on another live stream. But then she sort of said, now, what you have to do, you know, when you break your fast, you have to eat some really good quality, protein, and that means eat wild-caught fish and grass-fed beef. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, Jesus, you know, like, here you are doing something really healthy, and then
Yeah.
you're promoting this nonsense to people,
Yeah.
which is sort of like just not at all what your body wants to have in it after you've just had something after you've done something that's really good for it. And then you put something that's constantly causing inflammation. It's disrupting your kidneys. It's,
Of course, health isn't the main reason to be doing that kind of stuff.
What's that?
Health isn't the
Yes,
main
no.
reason.
But I mean, you know, just talking in terms of health, it's just so crazy watching somebody come out with stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you sort of know the science of how many problems there are.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It's sad. And you know, when I see children being fed animal products, I think, like, children already have plaque in their arteries, early signs of atherosclerosis. Children.
Yeah.
You know, they've done autopsies on kids that were killed in accidents,
Yeah.
and they found plaque in their arteries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nuts, isn't it?
It is. It is. And incredibly sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know. But how terrible. Really.
So what are we up to in this game, Didi?
Okay. I've just flown into the area where they're should offer me a free
How have you
freighter.
been, Tom? I'm sorry, Didi. I didn't mean to cut you
That's
off. I
all
was
right.
just
Never
asking.
mind. It's just this game. You know, it's nothing special.
It's such a beautiful, the colors and everything.
Yeah, the colors are very good.
Well, thanks for sticking with me with the and Didi with the rave on veganism. I haven't finished yet because I'm going to later in a little while. I'm going to read you the fun facts about organic dairy. This is the good kind of dairy. So, if you thought the free range, quote in quotes, was fun, wait until you hear the organic dairy.
Yeah.
So sometimes I've thought about having a vegan, question and answer thing. You know, like having people ask questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it would be really great to get like a bunch of people, like to get a lot of people and have them ask questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. If you could
it's
get
like,
them to
I
ask
don't know.
questions. Yeah, but it would be good.
Yeah. I used to do that on. I used to do these live streams regularly on Real Progressives every week. I do, or even a couple of times a week. I do a live stream there, and there was a lot of resistance on that because the people who own the site, even though they invited me to do these vegan, to talk about veganism, they didn't really understand it. They thought it was some sort of a health thing, and I told them it wasn't before I joined. But anyway, and then there was a few people who were volunteers that were really, really anti-vegan.
Couldn't stand it.
So and so that was a lot of fun. They kept on trolling me on my own live streams on on their
On
site.
the invited.
On their site.
Yeah.
And then I started talking about politics too. So I was just like Faint Signals from Vegan. So I was doing veganism and anti-imperialism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was ridiculous. Like inviting me kindly inviting me to talk on, and they had about 120,000 people on that site, and there was quite a lot of people. But I mean, I used to get some really misogynist people, would say, call me some real humdingers of names.
Yeah, really bad.
It's amazing how it really inflames some people. They get so affronted, and it's like it's blasphemy. The thought of suggesting that they not use animals, right?
Yeah.
The thought of that suggestion just blows their mind, and they just absolutely lose it.
Yeah.
They absolutely lose it. They can't. They get so angry, and then they immediately default to misogyny, because that's what you do when you don't have an argument. You don't have any content in your argument.
Yeah.
You start to call women all names under the sun.
Yes, because
and
that's how to win an
ridicule
argument.
them. Because that's what people do. Default to misogyny. That's the fun. The fun fact on the fun side
Reality.
of being on social media.
Yeah. The unfortunate reality. Yeah.
Oh, that's good, Tom. You had type 2 diabetes diagnosis, and oh wow, I didn't know you were eating a plant-based diet, Tom. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it makes a real difference.
I had a similar story. I was, I was diagnosed at one point with incipient diabetes, and then I sort of I lost a bit of weight, but I also just I was on a plant-based diet, and then and I also took some vitamin D. I was very low in vitamin D, and then that turned that around. So I almost tipped over into diabetes, but with all of that, it turned it around. But I mean, if I hadn't done that, well, that would have been ages ago now that I would have had that. And that's diabetes is no fun.
Yeah.
It's
really bad.
It's really bad.
Really,
and I think it was I think I don't know if my brother had or was almost had it, or
he had it.
Did he actually
He
have
had
it?
diabetes, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he almost had it.
No, he had it.
Oh, I don't think he was doing the injections, though. I think he might have been taking the tablets.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that probably led to him having that, when he hit his head or when he hit his face, and then he had that massive bleed, because it affects your arteries and all that kind of stuff. It's a serious thing, so.
It is.
What is Tom said, commuting in this wildfire smoke starting to wear on me, but I'm doing well otherwise, right? I don't know if you were still around, Tom, or if you were around on this channel when a couple of years ago when Dee Dee and I were affected by the Tasmanian fires.
Yeah.
Were you around then?
Yeah.
I did a few videos on it, and it was awful. There was smoke everywhere.
Yeah. Basically, we hung in here because at that point we couldn't get insurance for the house.
Yeah.
And so, although we had loaded in our important stuff and sent the cats away, we were staying here just in case.
Oh yeah.
And
Freaked me out,
all
though.
across the river was burning. You could see the fire and stuff, and the smoke was so dense that even if I put an N95 mask on, actually it was more than an N90. It was one of those respirators with the two filters, and I would go out there. I couldn't be out there for more than 15 minutes. I would go out periodically just to see if any of the little sparks and anything had lit anything.
Yeah.
We were very worried about embers and stuff coming across the river
Yeah.
because the wind was bad
Yeah. It kind of
Um,
freaked me out a little bit because I'd never been,
through a major
in
fire.
any sort of fire like that, and I didn't know how easy it would be to set this side of the river on fire. And so I was we didn't have any house insurance at the time because we couldn't get it at the time because
Yeah.
for some reason, I don't know, the insurers.
Well, they weren't going to give it to us while there
weren't gonna
was a
give it to
fire
us.
here.
Yeah, and they weren't going to give it to us while there was a fire here either. But we, and then the next thing we were able to get it really easy. It was weird. Hey, Didi.
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
But yeah, so that was really frightening because it was across the river, and I thought, oh my God, if this house burns down,
yeah,
we're
stuffed.
We're stuffed,
yeah,
So that was very stressful. So I didn't know how easily it could have lit this side of the river on fire with the embers coming across the river. And there were some embers, but fortunately, it didn't get to that point. Fortunately, and
Yeah.
but it was thick smoke in the air, and like if you went outside. I could, even if you're wearing a mask, it was just disgusting, and it made me feel ill. We actually bought an air filter, didn't we, Didi? Because
Yeah.
it got really.
we bought an air filter
And
just
I
in
think
case.
we've got some respite
helped.
for the next few years because it burned 180,000. Was it hectares? Yeah,
Yeah,
across the
It was
river,
a
180,000. So it's made this massive fire break. Of course, that's all going to grow back, and that's great. But that means that
The
if
last
they're
big-
not careful, it'll happen again. In
yeah.
the future.
There had been a big fire in the past. When was the last big fire? Was it the 70s or was it later than that? Wasn't
the
it?
last fire.
It was
I
like
don't know. Here, you mean?
here in Tasmania.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so that was bad, and it was worse because we didn't have insurance at the time, and I was just, it was just awful. And we had, we had hoses that we were ready to do, if there was any embers. But I mean, at some point, if it gets crazy, and
There's nothing you can
there's
do.
nothing you can do really, so you just have to leave. So anyway, but it was scary, and we had communications with our neighbors via SMS and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we fortunately
Most of our neighbors left.
so for a few weeks, it was stressful, wasn't it, Didi?
It was.
Was it like 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks? It was a while.
It was a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Diana. Have a good day, and thanks so much for dropping by. It's always
Okay.
lovely to see you.
Yeah. See you, Diana. I'm glad you enjoyed the chat.
Much love. Yeah.
It's lovely to have these. I really like these social
Yes.
things.
Sorry if it sounds like I get a bit preachy when I talk about veganism because
You do.
today was very testing for me. Any day in a live stream is testing for me when people start trolling me about that, because I just think, what the fuck are you doing? We're all going to end up starving, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and you're helping contribute to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all going to end up in a famine
Yeah.
through the climate crisis, and animal products are directly contributing to that in a massive way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and here I'm getting trolled for something that I'm trying to bring some facts to people. You know, it's not a judgy thing. I'm not judging people and you're awful or anything. It's not that. It's just that we need to stop it.
Yeah.
We need to get a grip, because there's so many things wrong with it. Not the least of is the violence. You know,
Yeah.
everybody claiming that they're so against violence. You know.
Yes. Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Peace out.
Oh, little Aoife is woken up. Aoife
Hello, little
beefs.
switchy. Hello, gorgeous
Little
boy.
Aoife beefs.
He
He's
comes
so
up on
sweet.
my. It's really funny. My desk. I have 2 cat beds on my
Yeah,
desk, and they all come up here wanting food,
we got a nice desk for Dee Dee for her birthday.
and covered it
It's
with
a
cat
sort
beds.
of a, yeah, sort of like, because she hasn't Excuse me, she hasn't had a decent desk. We've kind of gotten desks from the tip and stuff, so we thought one Christmas we thought we'd get her a nice desk.
Yeah.
And it's just got cat beds all over it, you know.
Yeah.
So she's got this little, like a third of the desk where she's actually doing stuff.
Doing stuff.
And the rest of it is where little cats just come up and park themselves.
Yes.
And, you know, and I mean, the minute I get up from my chair, the second actually, somebody is sitting in my chair when I come back.
Yes.
It's like I cannot get up for like 10 seconds and I turn around and there's a cat in my chair.
Isn't it wonderful?
And of course, the whole house is their cat bed, but
Yeah.
I would like to be able to sit in my chair.
Why?
Excuse
Why?
me. Oh.
How can
Sorry,
you
the
say that
pollen
about our
outside is
babies?
affecting my throat.
Our precious babies.
I don't have
Tricia.
COVID. It's just the pollen outside gets in the back of my throat. We're starting to get to that time of year where my eyes
Yeah.
are going to be watering.
All the acacias, everything is in bloom at the moment.
Yeah, everything's in bloom. And it's really hard with when you have a few cats, like they all want to eat at different times, and we try to get them at a regulated couple of times a day, and they manage to eventually kind of manipulate us to feeding them like, I don't know,
Continually.
It's continually almost. It's like
they want to be grazers. They're
yeah,
not interested
grazes.
in having regular feeding.
Yeah,
Thank you, no.
yeah.
They know what they want, and it's not. And it's not. Hello, you. Hi, beautiful. Aoife comes right up to me and touches noses with me.
Yeah,
He's so sweet.
yeah.
He's a little baby.
He's a happy little guy.
He's a happy little guy, and he's just.
And
he's
he
just
does little
gorgeous as
kisses and
anything.
rubs his face
Hello,
on
you. Mwah.
Dee Dee.
Aw.
He's so sweet. God, he's sweet.
He is. I better feed him.
And he's got this lovely luxurious tail that we call it little seaweed tails, where it looks like a seaweed kind of going gently
That's-
back and forth in the ocean.
The seaweed tail
That's
is
sort of-
more the
it's a
motion
happy-
than anything.
It's a happy little tail.
Yeah, it is. It's a very happy little tail. Yeah, you can always tell them if they're doing seaweed tails, they're happy.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
Alia
hi,
does.
Luciano.
Alia does a bit of thrashing tails.
We were just talking about an animal sanctuary in Brazil just before, Luciano. I'll post that one because it's let me see if I can find it again. Here it is. Anyway, I might have to get up and get a cup of tea or something.
Oh my! Are you going to get me one?
Huh?
You better get me one too.
No, no way. No, I won't
Yeah.
be getting you one.
Yeah.
So, can you? You might want to talk about this game for a little while I do that.
Well, I don't know what there is to say about the game.
You could probably explain.
One of the things to say
if
is
there's-
that you go around and scan things. A lot of it is just to recognize the diversity of life on these different places.
And watch.
Very pretty.
He's just about to. You're going to sit in my chair, aren't you, Mandy? See?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Come here.
Absolutely.
So, what's today? What's today? Do you use it? Friday.
Friday. Yeah. Yeah. Who's there? Jera's there. Hi, Jera. I've had a pollen problem all year. The dry semi-desert climate here is turning subtropical. Oh, you're in the southwest, aren't you? Um, I used to love being in New Mexico. I lived in around Santa Fe and Taos quite a lot of time. I was just saying, Jera was saying that the area where she's in is turning from semi-arid to, or from arid to semi-tropical. And yes, all the climates are changing way too fast. I'm heading off. I see a freighter over there. Some sort of giant machine falling down. Oh, Texas, Southwest Texas. Yeah. Yeah, Santa Fe was lovely. We lived outside of Santa Fe a bit in Cerrillos. I lived in Santa Fe for a little while, but then I lived in Taos. I loved northern New Mexico, generally. I never spent much time in Texas. The Tejanos weren't popular. Well, it's very big. Yeah, there it is. The Panhandle is one thing, and down around El Paso is something else entirely. You know. Yeah.
Like, what's El Paso like?
Well, that's right down by the Mexican border and stuff. And
I heard that Austin, Texas is really good for music.
I've heard that it's a much more liberal place. Trish was saying that Austin is a fairly supposed to be a nice place
No, for music.
for music. I've heard it's also supposed to be a nice place.
I don't know, that was a few years ago I heard that.
Yeah.
But then the comedian I watched went to Austin, Texas for a little while and then kind of had nothing but bad things to say.
Oh no.
You know?
Yeah.
Really subjective.
It's always subjective. Yeah. Yeah. This town of El Paso. Yeah. I had a very good friend, Gitana, from El Paso. Da 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 da. La da 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 da. I did. I told you. I found them up on top of the shelves. There was the last two bottles. I think they're at Woolies. Yeah. Trish is asking me about the mango chutney I found.
I really like that.
Our grocery store has been cutting out lines of food of various sorts, often ones that we like,
Yeah.
and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
And
Accidentally vegan things and
yeah, I mean we find nice food and then they'll cut out that brand.
lucky we don't
Yes. Nobody can hear what you're saying. Trish was saying it's lucky we're not so reliant on
We're not really.
grocery store food.
'Cause
But
we
there,
make everything from scratch.
yeah, we make it most things from
We make
scratch.
most things from scratch, yeah.
And
Down on West Texas, down about
And- yeah. Okay, Chris is here.
Oh, Chris?
Yeah.
Chris. Oh, hi, Chris. I'm just making a cup of tea.
Yes.
That's why I'm running around in the background.
And you can't hear her when she's doing that.
So we've been going for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Can you tell him we've been going for a couple of hours? And he missed my special vegan rant. Say that, Dee, 'cause
Yes. The special vegan rant.
you have to mention that he missed my special vegan
You did. Trish says you missed her special vegan rant. It was a very long and involved and very good special vegan rant.
and Dee participated in the vegan rant.
And I participated because it's important. We all need to go vegan for the world and for the animals most of all.
Okay. Anyway, we've been making our own soy milk. That's been fun.
Oh yeah, Trish has been making soy milk lately,
And that's all real healthy
which is very healthy. Yeah,
and yummy and simple.
this was a kind of soy milk that the method we're using, you end up with a bit of soy sludge at the bottom. It's a very simple one. I was doing one before where I was filtering it and all that stuff. But you end up with a lot of, what do you call it? The soy kind of hard bit that you end up at the end with at the end.
I don't know.
It's okare.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But we ended up producing way more than we could eat.
So we give it to
And we were giving it to the possums. Our possums were getting very, very well fed.
They get well fed anyway.
They get well fed anyway, but
Yeah.
but they were getting a lot of okare, and which is very high grade.
Now that okare, we don't have any of that because it's all incorporated.
It's incorporated into the soy milk,
Now we have.
which means that
We
there's a
don't
bit of
have any
sludge at
real
the bottom of
byproducts.
the,
We just have
the
a bit of
tea,
sludge at the bottom, which we
which we drink
drink. But you don't have to. You can kind of filter it out, like with
if you
a
want to.
cloth, if you want to. But we don't.
If
care.
you want to lose it. If you want to lose the nutritional value of it. It's actually got as much nutritional value as tofu.
Oh, it's always nice to see you, Chris. Have I got my microphone on? Yeah. Let's see. It's very eclectic in Austin. Oh yeah. Oh, you got to go. Okay, Jera. Nice
see
to
you,
see
Gerard. It
you.
was lovely to see you.
Nice to see you. Let's see. By the way, Chris says, by the way, I saw your chat last evening in the SC live chat, but I was driving, so I couldn't respond. Wasn't being rude. Oh, I see.
Okay.
It's rare that I get to catch any of the Status Quo live streams because they're always too early, and that one just happened to be sort of at a time where I was kind of awake and
so many of them are at like
able to
5 in the
participate.
morning or 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning and stuff like that. It's just too early for me.
And trying to coordinate. We have these live streams and they're often really late at night for us.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we just don't get any sleep because we're dedicated to chatting.
Hmm.
But I think it's really important, like to have that social connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Aoife is making little wildcat sounds. He runs around and talks to himself.
He makes
Hey,
the most
Yuffie.
interesting sounds. Kind of.
Yeah. He doesn't meow like a cat. He kind of makes these like little
We,
brippy sounds and
we
stuff.
call them wildcat sounds
Wildcat
because, in fact, he looks very much like an African wildcat.
He's just a little,
Uh,
domestic tabby cat, but he's got the markings of those
I
African
don't know
wildcats.
if he's. I mean,
he's got blue eyes.
a refugee. We're like all of our cats. We've adopted them from, abandoned cats.
Yeah.
But he has interesting markings which are a bit unusual with a tabby, and I think that he actually has maybe some wildcat or
Yeah.
something.
He's got this stripe. It's like somebody got a black paintbrush and went across the front of his legs.
And the,
Which is
the
a very-
bottoms of his feet.
Yes, and
And that's kind of an unusual thing for
Yeah.
tabbies.
he's got kind of aqua blue eyes.
Um,
And
he makes very unusual and
he
interesting
makes
sounds.
very unusual sounds. Yeah.
He speaks in a different language.
Mm.
And he's a darling.
Yeah. He's a sweet
They're
little
all
darling.
darlings.
And
but
he's incredibly naughty. In the middle of the night, he kind of tramples all over me and does his best to kind of wake me up, and to the point of little nips and things. I mean,
yeah,
they're so naughty, aren't they?
yeah, they are. He
They're
has the
really-
habit of laying on us, and then he will stretch out his arms, and
Yeah,
then he has very long arms,
yeah,
and he will stretch out his arms, and then gently put out his claws, which are
yeah,
really
yeah.
sharp.
yeah. Yes, it's really naughty. Yeah, we're talking about you, Efi. Oh my, that's very, very Efi.
He makes such sweet little noises.
I'll see if I can find a picture of him on my Instagram. Let's see. Oh, has any? I posted this great little video of it's a coyote and a badger, and
Making friends.
they're traveling underground across one of those wildlife tunnels. This
Oh, yeah.
on my Instagram, I saw it, and I really love it. The coyote is actually like, it's almost like if this was a cartoon, you'd think, oh, well, that never happens in real life. It's like he's really playful, and he kind of gets all excited when he sees the badger, and he kind of jumps up, and then he waits for the badger, and then he goes ahead, and the badger follows him through the tunnel. It's fantastic. Can you see
Yeah.
it, Didi?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
so
a gorgeous
sweet.
little image. It's an infrared image.
Infrared image, yeah.
Somebody's put an infrared camera there to see what animals
Yeah,
are
I'll
using that.
What,
that
the
little
wildlife tunnel?
It
Yeah.
would be a wildlife tunnel going under a highway or
Yeah,
under
probably.
something, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just lovely.
yeah,
Makes me really happy.
and very unusual.
Yeah, and he just looks so excited. It's like they're, like I'd
Like,
love to know
oh,
the relationship. Did he?
What? Yeah,
I'd love to know the relationship with those two. Like,
I don't know that they have any other than they met there in the tunnel.
yeah, they may have just met there, or but it's just amazing how excited that coyote is.
Coyotes.
It's like
Coyotes are very playful, really.
He's it's so sweet. God.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the one of Efi. He's got his little Bird Be Safe collar
Oh, yeah.
on, which works really well. But this is the link to Aoife, and
Yeah.
he's such a sweetie bee.
I can see it, but they
Look.
can't.
No, I put a link in for them. See,
Oh, okay.
see,
Okay.
look, this one. See,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
sweet.
he's gorgeous. He looks much grayer in the pictures. He doesn't look that grey in real life.
Oh yeah, that's true, I guess. But don't
This
they
is
have
the
the most
wrong- the wrong
amazing
tea.
markings?
Trisha, you've given me the wrong tea.
Oh, have I? Oh, hang on
Yes.
a
Oh
sec.
no.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
She's given me. Trishy likes Earl Grey tea. I think she's very impressed by Picard. I don't.
By who?
Picard.
No, I've always loved Earl Grey tea. You know what I really love and I haven't had for ages?
Hmm?
You know what I really love and I haven't had for ages?
What's that?
Vanilla tea.
Vanilla tea.
I used to get this fantastic vanilla tea.
Oh yeah.
It was very kind of kind of musky and it was fantastic. I must find a good source of vanilla tea because that was one of my favorite things, Dee Dee.
Oh yeah.
And I've
We'll have to
forgotten
get
about
you
it.
some.
Yeah, it has to be kind of rich tasting. There was this brand of vanilla tea, but I don't know. It's been decades, since I've had it.
Yeah.
But it was came in a tin, and it was just gorgeous. Like it was a loose leaf tea.
Uh huh.
God, it was yummy. Look at him in that video. Isn't he a puppet?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's such a little puppet.
Ah, it's a paradise planet.
Sorry if I'm slurping in the microphone. What is it? What is it, Evie?
Oh, listen to him. He's such a sweetie pea.
Yeah. What is it, Evie? What? What, Evie? What is it?
We can't see what anybody's saying while you're
Oh, I'm
looking
sorry.
at everything.
Can you not see?
Well, of course not.
Oh, okay.
You don't have it on
Oh,
the
so
screen.
Tom said once saw young coyotes trying to corral geese on a frozen pond. Hilarious. Oh my.
Oh, yeah.
What is it, Evie? What is it, Evie? What is it, Nandi? Oh, this is interesting, Dee Dee. Look.
Yeah?
See this, this is May 10th, 2021. The human health effects of cultivated meat antibiotic resistance. Would that be something that you were talking about? You know, the lab meat and antibiotic?
Yes, absolutely. That's something I did a whole couple of articles on cultivated meat. This is the lab meat. I did that, and we published it on your howtogovegan.org.
No, it was Vegan Trove.
Was it?
Vegan
Didn't we
Trove.
put it on howtogovegan.org?
Maybe
Yeah.
I did.
Anyway, I mean, this whole notion of lab meat is such a scam,
Yeah,
because in order to feed cell culture, you need high-grade nutrients, which would mean you'd need to grow a whole lot of crops to feed your cells. But the ideal conditions for growing cells, tissue culture, is the ideal condition for all kinds of things.
yes.
Bacteria, fungi, virus, and of course, if you're growing tissue culture, there is no immune system. So you've got to have, antibiotics,
Yeah.
antifungals,
Yeah.
antivirals, tons of it in that, because it is at such risk
Yeah.
of producing or being invaded by all those kind of things. So you've got a really highly chemical environment, which consumes higher grade feed than you would ever feed an actual animal, you're going to have to do more cultivation of beans and grains and things like that, and then process them so that you can use them in a nutrient solution. And then you're going to have all the chemicals to help it all flow well, and then you're going to have antibiotics, antifungals, and antivirals. And it's a massive industrial process
Yeah.
that's going to take some mega corporation like Bayer or somebody like that.
Yeah.
What's the name of that thing that
What's
the
that?
one that produced all the the
Mon-
herbicides?
um.
Monsanto.
Yeah.
Monsanto, I mean, it would be like the kind of thing, I mean, Monsanto was bought by Bayer, so Bayer now owns that, but
Yeah.
it's that kind of industrial scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'd be worth checking out. That
That article.
about the antibiotic resistance, because at one point, excuse me, I think Nutrition Facts was actually doing an unfortunate kind of lab meat is okay kind of thing, and I thought, what are you saying? I mean, it still doesn't matter if it's grown in a lab; it's still animal products, and that's gross.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's also sourced from, they have to have a permanent amount of animals to be able to source those so-called immortal cell lines.
You may not need much of a source of animals, but that's not the point.
Oh, okay, Tom.
The
Have
point
a
is
great
you're still
day.
using huge amounts of
Thanks
resources.
for dropping by.
Bye, Tom. Lovely to see you always.
Hey, Tom, you should tell us when is a good time to have a live stream that you'd be able to hang out with us for 2 or 3 hours even, and we'll try and we'll see if it syncs up with our thing. Hey, Didi.
Yeah.
We always seem to be doing it at a time where Tom has to go out
Has to run
to
off.
work or do
Yeah.
something. I mean, most people would have to do that, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm thinking if it's 11:30, it's probably like about 9:30 a.m. or something like that.
There. What should I call my base? It's on a paradise planet. Where's a lovely place?
Huh?
Where's a lovely place?
Costa Rica? I don't know. Here? Here?
Say again?
Here?
I don't know.
What is it, little guy?
Why can't I? Why doesn't this work?
What are you doing, Didi?
I was trying to name this base, but I can't I can't do it. I don't know why. I'm not sure why. I wanted to create a little base here because it has power, it has other resources, and why not? It's near the water. I can be on land and water, and that would be good.
I love the way everybody's. We must save the planet so we can save humanity.
Who says
Why?
that?
What? I don't know. This week the IPCC report confirmed what people have been saying for decades. We must act now to save the planet and humanity. Well, the planet will be fine without us.
Yes, the planet's going to be fine.
Yeah.
In fact, it'll probably be far better off without us.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want that. Let's see. The planet's going to do just fine, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean this to sound misanthropist, but
You do.
what
You're a misanthrope.
what are we saving with humanity? Because I don't know.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
Imperialism.
Wow, so Mitch McConnell has actually got his net worth is $37,137,534.
How lovely.
He's doing all right, isn't he?
He is.
You'd have to be corrupt to have that.
It helps. I don't know if you have to be corrupt, but it certainly helps.
I wonder if he's got that from the NRA. Mostly. Who knows?
I don't know.
Probably the
Big Pharma.
Big Pharma.
I think he's getting it from everybody, actually.
Yeah, probably. Whoever will give it to him.
Yeah.
Why is Vietnam trending? That's always a worry.
It is. Why is Vietnam trending?
Huh?
Why is Vietnam
I don't know. I don't know.
Find out. What good
Oh,
are
I
you
think
if you
it's
don't?
sort of like, because the Taliban is taking... Like the Taliban was already all throughout, they'd secured more land because of the US imperialist occupation there.
Yeah.
And now, of course, they're securing even more, and that's a good, that's used as an excuse now to send more troops back in. Of course, I knew. I mean, it was so predictable, right?
Yeah.
You're pretending to leave, and of course, there's all these mercenaries there, like many more mercenaries than actual troops there already. The private army.
Yeah.
And, now we've got to go back in now because we've got to, all this stuff.
Oh, we got to save him from the Taliban. Well, what did you think was going to happen? The Taliban were taking over while the Americans were there.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, for God's sake,
created,
the U.S. was losing to the Taliban.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
They're not going to go back in, I don't think. They may want to bomb the shit out of
Well, they'll just bomb,
because they like doing it.
They just want to be there. Any excuse to be there because they've got all their CIA, funding there with the poppies.
Yeah.
You've got to, the opium production has increased tremendously since they've been there.
Yeah.
What is it? Vietnam concerned over vaccine supply as COVID cases near record. Oh. They're trying to develop their own vaccine there, or at least 2 vaccines.
In Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Good on them, too.
but there's 9,667 new infections in Ho Chi Minh City.
Ah, yeah. Is that...
So apparently they're diverting all the vaccines they have to Ho Chi Minh City.
Right.
Um,
Are they locking it down?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually cooperate there.
Yeah.
I think they do have some anti-vaxxers there, but I don't know. They're probably, also probably want the US to go in and invade. Again, who knows? Anyhow, the country has recorded more than 246,500 infections, the majority since late April. That's really sad.
Mm.
Anyway, this is Reuters, which isn't...
Yeah.
And
we love Reuters.
see, and then Reuters, all these different ones are drumming up. The Taliban are doing this, the Taliban are doing that. Oh, quick, go in and save them.
Yeah.
This kind of thing.
Oh, but look,
Christ
the
on a
Taliban
crutch.
are going to take
But
over.
it doesn't matter what Israel's doing to Palestinians or Saudi Arabia's doing to it,
Yeah.
the head-chopping monarchy of Saudi Arabia.
They're not
No, they're
important.
fine. Oh, hi, Chris. Oh, have a good day, Chris. Lovely to see you. Everybody's got to run off to work.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Work.
Out on the West Texas town of El Paso.
It's a funny song.
So is heme iron the reason meat is carcinogenic? Let's have a look. Heme iron.
Heme iron.
Yeah. Let's see. DNA damage is considered an essential component of the development of colonic cancer. So researchers looked at fecal water genotoxicity. You've heard of green tea and black tea. This is more like brown tea, basically like a filtered fecal smoothie. Oh, this is good for breakfast time in the US, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's definitely one where you want to double check the blender lid is on tight, it says. But what they found was the DNA damaging effect of the fecal water was independent of the amount of nitroso compounds they found. Now, the lack of correlation between the apparent total nitroso compound. Hang on, let me see if I can find something that's more. What is this?
Happy?
No, I was going to say more clear. Anyway, the simple answer is heme iron more carcinogenic. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So in other words,
Basically,
if
heme
you're
iron
eating meat and you...
is an external form of blood.
Yeah.
And because blood needs to be able to pass through various barriers in the body, it can pass through the barriers of the body. But that it's actually not very good at all for us.
No.
Yeah.
And it's actually like non-heme iron, which is plant-based iron. That's actually your body can easily regulate that, whereas with animal-based heme iron, it can't really, and that's why you'll find, for example, hemochromatosis patients. That's an iron-loading genetic illness. They tend to, if they're eating animal products, eating heme iron, which is in meat, it builds up and builds up and builds up. Whereas if you're a vegan and you've got hemochromatosis, it can kind of regulate itself better.
Yeah,
Kinda
because it's
diddy.
only the heme that you're producing,
Yeah.
or it's only the iron you're producing from your body. Oh, there we go. Frozen and dead again. Poor little game is having a hard time.
There's also maybe a strong link between colorectal cancer and trimethylamine N-oxide, TMAO, a gut microbial metabolite of dietary meat and fat. Maybe that's the link between what our gut bugs, bacteria, are doing with meat and risk of colorectal cancer. Maybe because of the inflammation caused by TMAO. But if it could also be the oxidative stress or DNA damage or protein disruption. Anyway, that's the simple answer. Is heme iron the reason meat is carcinogenic? Yes.
Trishy's just going through science articles to say what are some of the problems with
Rectal
it?
biopsies taken before and after eating meat determine the potentially DNA damaging dose of heme. That's that one.
So when they tell you you need meat for iron, they're actually not helping you out.
No, it's not.
Hello, you. Hello, beautiful boy. I have Eva here on my table again. Hi, gorgeous. Hi.
And people need to be
Hi.
careful of all these, Beyond Meat, those plant-based meats. Even though they might kind of, they might be a sort of a similar tasting to animal products.
Well-
They actually really unhealthy, and they put lots of saturated fat in them.
That's
so-
what makes them similar.
Yeah, that's what makes them similar.
know.
So,
Yeah.
I would never suggest to people, like some people, have those kinds of things as a transition.
If people are desperate for that kind of taste,
Yeah.
well, you can kind of, okay, if that's what it's going to take for you to be vegan, but it's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, well, if it's a transition thing, that's okay. But
Yeah.
if it's kind like some people seem to eat it a
It's
lot.
also expensive. Yeah.
It's expensive, but some people eat it a lot, and that's not healthy.
No.
You don't need faux animal products, really.
No.
You can make yummy things out of Whole Foods and stuff like that. You don't need to have those products, but if they're a good transition product for some people,
Yeah.
and but
Oh, look,
just so
don't
people
stand
know
right
that
there, please.
there's nothing healthy about vegan junk food. It's
No.
often, got lots of. I mean, we tried out a few different vegan junk food things, didn't we, Dee?
Yeah.
And
Just to try.
it's not great after a while. Oh, look at him.
Yeah.
Ethan's standing in front of Dee Dee and
Yes, he is.
and
He's
kind
standing
of
right
doing
in front
all
of
these
me.
cute little things, but trying to get her attention, basically.
Yeah.
Hey, Eefy. Oh, Eefy
Can you move along,
peeps.
sweetie?
Oh, hi, Kim. We did a whole
Hi, Kim.
1.5
Oh,
hours of a
thing on
vegan rant.
vegan
We did a
stuff.
vegan rant, so you
we
missed
did.
it.
Yeah, you'll have to come back and listen to it. You'll enjoy it.
we talked for a long time, and
Okay,
on that,
too.
and now we're kind of
Hello.
waffling off onto other things.
I've got Eva
it's nice
on
to
my
see you.
table kissing me and
And Aoife is
touching
kissing
noses and
Dee
being
Dee.
sweet because he wants me to feed him.
Anyhow, hopefully Vietnam will be okay with that.
Yeah, I worry about Indonesia.
Yeah, Indonesia. I don't even want to think about that. What's going to happen there?
Yeah.
How's your day been so far? Oh, thank you, Kim. How's your day been so far? Oh, everybody missed out on my organic milk talk. The organic in quotes milk talk, Dee Dee.
Oh no.
They missed out
Why?
because they all had to leave for various reasons. Maybe they had to go to work and stuff like that.
And besides, you were talking about milk.
No, I don't think they left because of that. They kind of know that's what I do, and I think they can
Yes.
handle it, which
Yes.
is pretty great.
Yeah, it is.
You know, if you're not vegan and you can listen to my vegan rants, I'd prefer if they had some influence, but, you know,
Yeah.
at worst, people can listen to it. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes, I got a bit ranty, but that's because I get
Because you're ranty.
I get tired. I feel like I'm failing when I can't get people to
become
go
vegan immediately.
I know it's a stupid thing to expect, really, like, because people go vegan in their own time. It's like
They do. It's
there
just,
are things that happen. They might hear some people hear something like 30 times and then something clicks. Some people hear it 100 times and then something clicks. Some people hear it like 1 or 2 times and then boom. And some people hear it once. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, isn't it, Dee Dee?
It
It's sort
is.
of something that can happens by osmosis. And they
Yeah.
might hear a bunch of different people talking about the same thing, and then they happen to be in the right frame of mind, or they've already been subconsciously kind of going in that direction, and then
yeah, it builds up after a while. The,
Yeah.
Information.
yeah. And I just wish that
Sometimes it's cumulative.
I don't know. I just wish I was more effective in influencing people, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. It's just sad. So much suffering, and it's so unnecessary,
Yeah.
and so much destruction too. What you doing, Eefy? What you doing, Bubby? Hey. Hey. Are you beautiful or what?
He
What a
is.
sweet little face.
He is
Oh
beautiful.
my. What a sweet little face. Eefy. He's got the sweetest face. Yeah, I'm looking at you. And he's got these beautiful aquamarine eyes. Haven't you? You do.
He's gorgeous.
Yeah, you're gorgeous.
Let's just face it. He's
You're
gorgeous.
Yes, you are. You are.
He is.
I'm talking to Aoife, and then Nandi has to sit on me. Huh?
Of course he does.
Anyway, I was going to say, Kim, have you seen this site? You're probably aware of this site. Oh, you just woke up. Oh, okay then. Have you seen this site? You probably have. There's an elephant in the room, by Linda Clark. If not,
She's lovely.
it's a really great vegan blog, but you're probably already aware of it. And you're probably aware of this too, UVE Archives. It has a whole bunch of good stuff on it. You've probably seen that too. Anyway, if not, you know, the elephant there's an elephant in the room is great blog. And Linda Clark, she's so humble. Oh, you have? Yeah, I thought you probably have. And Linda Clark, she's so humble, and she's such a good writer. And
She is.
such a nice person. And probably one of the most underrated vegan bloggers. Hey, there
Yeah.
are vegan. Yeah.
Yeah, she's lovely. And she's been doing it for such a long time.
Oh yeah, she's
You
been
know.
doing it. At least, well, I don't know when she started, but I don't know. Was she doing that when like in 2009?
Uh,
I don't know when she started. Let me have a look and I'll see if I can find out when she started that. Oh, who knows? She has a different way of navigating her site. Anyway, I think it's at least, she's been doing it for at least 10 years. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I think she should make all those blogs into a book.
Yeah, we suggested that to her
Yeah.
at one point.
I might suggest that to her again, sort of put it all in, like, and just call it, vegan essays. There's an elephant in the room, vegan essays or something.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really great.
The elephant essays.
Oh, something like that. She can think of whatever it is, but, that'd be really great.
It would. It'd be good for her to get something back, too, from
Yeah, I
all
don't
of
think
the
she
work
just
she
wants
puts.
people to go vegan,
She doesn't
which
really
is
care, but still, she works so hard and has done that for such a long time.
yeah. I'd buy a copy of that book too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'd really. It'd be great if. I don't think I'd. I don't know if she'd have the energy to be able to. Try and organise that herself. It's just that, like it'd be terrible if all that was lost. Like I don't know how long WordPress, like
and
might
if
stay
something
up.
happened to her, I mean, she's
Exactly.
had lung transplants, and if something happened to her, how long would her site stay up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I must ask her actually if she'd mind if she'd mind if something happened, heaven forbid, but
Yeah.
something happened to her that I will make a mirror site. You know what I mean? Like I did with that UVE archives.
Yeah.
Because it'd be so sad if all of that, went.
Yes, was lost.
I've gotten so sidetracked with things I've forgotten to sort of talk to her about that, about, sort of trying to get that in a book,
Yeah.
in a physical book.
And you should.
Mm. I feel like we've been going longer than we have. Like it's what time is it now? It's almost 12 o'clock, but we started at I think it was 9:30.
9:30.
Yeah. How's that little kitten going that your parents have? What a sweetie pea that little guy is.
Absolutely. I'm just doing my little thing. I'm carrying on. That it's peaceful. I love the fact that it's peaceful. Don't you? Trish asked what I like about this game, and I think that it's peaceful, that you really don't have to kill anything, that you're traveling around the universe, and it's pretty. I mean, I love the fact that it's pretty. It is. And the music is very peaceful. Don't you reckon? Um, well, it's a paradise planet, so it's very nice. Yeah. Well, it means that you don't have radiation, or it's not too hot, it's not too cold. It's not an icy planet, it's not a burning planet. Uh, it's not a radioactive planet. All that is good. Um, well, I guess, I mean, the asteroid just has that much water on it. It's a core of rock coated with water, with ice. It's a core of rock coated with ice. I mean, there's ice in space. Well, between Mars and Jupiter. It's between Mars and Jupiter. Yeah, well, yeah, that way he can sell everything, to people, and they can't possibly make anything. He'd have a captive audience, I guess. I guess he'd have a captive audience that way. Well, forever, he thinks. I think Jeff Bezos, he's hoping that he can dominate space and kind of own it. I mean, there's been plenty of science fiction stories about that kind of thing.
About oligarchs owning space.
Sure, about corporations in space.
Oh, hey, Jen. Unapologetic Vegan is here.
Great.
You missed our
Hi,
vegan
Jen.
rant, Jen.
Yes, our big vegan rant.
It went for
Which
an hour
has-
and a half.
I think it went for longer than that, Trishy.
I don't know. Wow, it's got, what is that little thing that he's got on his shoulder?
It's a little sensor. It's how he scans things.
Oh, no.
What?
Jen said, read something about advertising in space. When you look up to see the stars, you'll see an ad instead.
Oh no.
That'd
What?
be bad.
Is that something real, or is that some of the worst science fiction around? I hope it's not real.
Mm. Do you think when Mum and Dad were growing up that they had the same kind of sort of awful predictions about the future that
We do?
You know, yeah.
No.
No, I don't think
When
so.
they were growing up, everything was rosy. The world was going to be fabulous.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about like, you know how like these kind of things, you know, like just nutty sort of capitalism. Do you think they had those same kind of predictions about the future?
No.
Their future that we have?
No. No, they didn't.
Nandi. Why not?
Why didn't they have the predictions about their future like that?
Bad predictions, yeah.
Well, because they, when they were growing up, it was the middle of modernism. We were going to go onward and upward, and everything was going to get better and better in every way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What is he doing, Dee Dee?
What's who doing?
Oh, Elon Musk said that. Oh, God. How come of all the billionaires, and there's many, many billionaires on the planet, right? How come we only keep hearing about these three guys? Fucking...
Do you like my little guy, sweetie?
Did he? How come we keep hearing about fucking Elon Musk and Bezos?
Because they're the
and what's
they're
his
the
name?
lords
Branson.
of the earth.
No, but there's so many other billionaires on the planet. I know there's people not as anywhere near as rich as Bezos, but what about the other two?
But they're the ones that are high profile. They're the ones that, put themselves out there as being fabulous.
Yeah. Excuse me. So how's things in your world, Jen? And Kim said because it's a pissing contest between those three. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like Branson had to get up there first.
It's like, why do they pay any attention to the Queen, really, or to Kate, or to Harry, and all these people who are just really ordinary people?
Yeah, it's like you can't. It's just like they're constantly shoving Meghan and Harry in our face all the time,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Well, yeah, because it's a soap opera.
Yeah. Didi, if Didi goes to the supermarket, she loves looking at. She makes fun of all the different.
Well, I mean, it's like
Glad
every
rags.
time, you go into the supermarket, they've got these rags, putting out this shit.
And there's this. They create these constant dramas between
and they're
people that
total
couldn't-
nonsense.
Yeah, they're absolute nonsense. Like what was
Yeah.
one of the
Kate,
better ones?
Kate and Harry, Kate says, "You'll never see my baby." The Queen is upset, and she's begging Harry to come home. And it's all just garbage. Yeah, and you wonder.
Oh,
who the hell
what
reads
did we
this
hear
shit?
recently? Somebody, who was it? Colin Firth was supposedly having an affair with Sarah. What's her name? Sarah
With Princess Ferguson.
Ferguson. Sarah Ferguson. Yeah.
With Fergie.
I'm sorry. These Hollywood actors, they don't date people their own age. Anyway, that was a particularly funny one.
Yeah.
Oh, pulling onions from the garden. Anyhow, we have some nice rocket at the moment, and I heard that rocket is really good for your neuroplasticity, so
Yes.
I
very good for
particularly enjoy eating
neuroplasticity.
it because we need plastic neurons.
We do. We do. We need plastic neurons.
And it's so yummy straight from the garden.
We do.
And I never, not that we grow flaxseed, but I never truly appreciated flaxseed until I read how great it is for you.
Mhm.
Like that lignans are great against breast cancer and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think at some point, Didi, in the next 15 minutes, I might have to go to bed. I'm kind of feeling a bit tired now.
No, darling.
Hey, we've been going now for what? 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Hey, Nandi. Hey, Nandi. It's funny when we do these streams, I sort of think, I don't really know what I'll talk about. And then suddenly it's like 3 hours or 4 hours later.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Eva's looking for things to do.
Aoife is.
Yeah. Aren't you, Evie?
Aoife's a little menace.
Huh?
Aoife is a little menace. He's sweet.
A sweet little menace.
He is a sweet little menace.
So anyway, We might have to wind it up, sweetie, don't you think, Dee Dee?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in particular I wanted to bring up. What's happening here? My wife is... Oh, no.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to my little house. I'll go swimming first.
Okay. Shall we...
Where's the people, sweetie? You're looking at other stuff.
Oh, I was just looking at somebody said on Twitter said, my wife is in ICU on a ventilator, not COVID related, but at great risk of catching it. Hospital requires everyone to wear a mask. No brainer, right? But there are people with kids protesting outside on the sidewalk, demanding masks inside. Hospital be voluntary. I mean, of all the hills to die on, this is the fucking hill that these people choose to fucking
really.
die on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly and truly, I don't know what the hell is... What is so dreadful about... You know, you don't get this mostly, you don't get this crap in Asian countries.
No.
They know, they've all been wearing masks for a long time. You know, when there's a threat of giving the flu to somebody or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, what state is this? Western New York State.
Yeah, I mean... Really, you want... I mean, it's literally the hill to die on, too.
Yeah, really, yeah.
I mean, it's literally, you will die on this hill.
Yeah. I wonder what's wrong with his wife. Anyway, hopefully she'll get better. Oh, sorry, Nandi. I'm sorry, sweetie. You want to get behind me or you want to sit on the chair? Yeah, the mask of oppression. Yes, that makes me laugh, the mask of oppression.
Yeah.
Yes, what a hardship having a bit of cloth on your face.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes, the mask of oppression. The mask of fascism. Yes.
Yes.
I'm free. I don't wear masks.
Yeah.
Never.
Jen says it's crazy here in Nebraska. They are over COVID, don't care at all. Yeah. They don't care until somebody ends up in ICU.
Yeah.
Like that guy, that poor guy in England who was a mountain climber and no previous pre-existing conditions.
Very, very fit.
Very, very fit, really
He's
muscly.
An Iron Man.
He was
people
42.
In Australia know what that means. Yeah.
He was 42 and he died in ICU from COVID. And now there's children dying in ICU. Well, children are getting incredibly sick. I don't know how many children, many have died, but they've incredibly sick in ICU.
Yeah.
And we're talking babies too. Babies getting sick from it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's embarrassing,
that
Kim
woman
says it's
who had
embarrassing.
that major neurological issues like a stroke.
Yeah.
She's 26 and she had mild COVID.
Anyway, I don't want it. Dee Dee doesn't want it.
Yeah.
I hope we remain kind of sensible in this state. We've been pretty sensible. But, you know, it's like, I don't know, with all all this crap and people just refusing to wear masks and stuff, it's like, you know, you can have the vaccine, but you can still get it. And, you know, that there might be more ridiculous variants that are just, you know.
Well, they're coming.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nightmare. You know, like we need this on top of this. You know, everything is just such a shit show now.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, I don't know. There's this saying that Eckhart Tolle says, accept the moment as if you chose it. And it's sort of, I don't know, I tend to do a lot of that these days. It's like all the different things, you know, like, doesn't mean I don't do anything to try and change things. I do, but it's like at the same time, you know, there's so many things going wrong. If you're kind of getting upset about every single thing and you know,
make you crazy.
It'd make you crazy, yeah, because it's coming from all directions. So, yeah, nobody wants it, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get crazy watching what's going on around Sydney with the people who seem so determined. I mean, the people with COVID get on an airplane to go somewhere that doesn't have it, you know?
Yeah.
And you think, what the fuck?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
honest to God.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, how is it actually going there, Dee Dee, in Sydney?
Oh, it's a mess.
Yeah, it's like, is it still like 300 a day or something?
Yeah, I think so. I heard that they were kind of getting it in, you know, there weren't so many that were in, what do you call it, in the,
In the quarantine?
well, no, from community.
Locally transmitted, community transmitted.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's okay in Victoria, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there were like a couple of new cases, but they knew where they were from or something like that. I don't know whether there were, I don't remember if there were anything like in the community.
Uh-huh. What is it, Guy? What? What is it, Evie? What? What is it, Evie? I don't know. I haven't been watching those, daily briefs or anything.
Yeah. The Tasmania, ACT Northern Territory, or Tasmania Northern Territory and WA, I think are doing a thing. Unless you're vaccinated, you can't come in.
Oh yeah, right.
I think that's dicey because you can be vaccinated and have it.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be anybody who's vaccinated should be considered safe.
Right.
Because I think that's a mistake.
Yeah. So what's been happening in your world, Jen and Kim? Anything exciting you want to share before we go?
Um, Agreed, Dee Dee. I'm worried about catching Delta in schools and bringing it home to my mom. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jen, yeah, absolutely. I mean, children are getting this, and some of them are getting very ill. Some of them are being, like really, hospitalized and the whole 9 yards. But, this idea that it'll be okay because people are vaccinated is crazy. I worry that at some point they're going to kind of go, oh, well, we've got enough people vaccinated, we'll open the borders. I mean, I've had my first vaccination, but against Delta, that's 33% efficacy. And
Do that before the end of the year, though, did he?
you don't think so?
No, I don't think so. No.
Well, Morrison's going to push for it.
Yeah, but
I'm hoping Taz will be sensible enough.
Most people will be not fully vaccinated by the end of the year. They won't
Yeah,
be.
particularly since they're giving everybody AstraZeneca.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
And that takes
most-
3 months. I
most
mean, I'm not
people-
going to be
yeah,
fully
most
vaccinated till November sometime. Yeah.
Most people won't be vaccinated by the end of the year. So I don't expect they'll be doing anything like that.
Yeah. I mean,
Of
the
course, you
biggest-
never know the stupidity of politicians, but
Yeah. You never do.
I think that at that point, I mean, if they did something stupid like that, I think we would get things in. You know what I mean? Not go out. Like, even though
Yeah.
I was fully vaccinated, I could still bring
Bring
home.
it home.
Bring it
Sure.
home. So,
I mean,
like,
that's what we did
yeah.
when COVID was first around.
I think we just,
We got things in as much as possible.
yeah.
Um,
I think we just hunker down and get stuff sent in until
yeah.
you were able to get a second thing.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be like 3 months or like 2 months by that. I don't know. I mean, it'd probably be. I don't know. I really don't expect they're going to do that before. I think maybe they might do that in, say, February or something. Or,
Yeah.
excuse me, but I don't
Yeah.
expect they're going to do anything. Particularly with how Sydney is at the moment. I mean, it's a mess, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do that. And I don't know. I don't know. It's funny, today when I went to the doctors, right, to get that blood test,
Yeah.
they said, so have you been to the USA at all? I've never been asked that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. To be specifically asked about
Yeah.
the USA.
Yeah, have you been to the USA recently? I thought that was funny. Because they've never been that specific. That's the question they should be asking. Hey.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say? Come on then. Hi. You want to say something in the mic? Look. Evie, come here. You want to do some purring in the mic? He said, no, not really. Don't make me do any purring in the mic. Mr. Perry Pants. Kim said over here they are talking about reopening the borders to fully vaccinated Americans. Not sure I want that just yet. Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's stupid because fully vaccinated Americans don't mean they won't have it.
Exactly.
And they will give it to people who are unvaccinated. I mean, you shouldn't open the borders until basically everybody in Canada is vaccinated.
I love the way they're pretending as if the Taliban didn't have most of Afghanistan before the US left,
Yeah,
right?
they hadn't already defeated
And now the
the
whole
US.
Taliban claims at least half of the Afghanistan's like as if suddenly they're everywhere. They were
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
this
they're
is just
everywhere because
straight up propaganda
yeah,
to make out like, oh, now that the Americans are leaving, they're everywhere and everybody's in danger. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
yeah.
I can't stand it. Fucking corporate media is just appalling.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Kim said, oh God, yes, that was everywhere in the news yesterday. What was in the news? Oh, the Taliban. Yeah.
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 Pretty much everywhere in the news today too. Yeah. Oh, the Taliban might take Tehran, not Tehran, Kabul. You know.
Mm.
And you think, well, yeah, well. And the United States is, look, the United States was losing to the Taliban.
What's going on with LOR Lord?
Oh no, what?
What does that mean? She's following the sun.
What?
Lord, Lordes. You know the singer?
Yeah.
I
What
don't know.
about her?
She's It says here, after her last album, Lord took 4 years for herself. Her phone set to grayscale, has no internet browser. She is locked out of her social media apps, with others handling the passwords, and a coder friend even made YouTube inaccessible on her laptop.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. I wouldn't mind that. Is she coming back to music or something?
I don't know. I guess so.
Or is she sort of finished with that probably wouldn't be a bad thing.
No.
Anyway, Dee Dee, I think maybe we should probably go, don't you?
Yeah.
As much as
we
I'd
could do
love
that.
to. Oh, hi, Jeffrey. How are you?
Hi, Jeffrey.
As much as I, yeah.
Like to say hello to everybody who's
Yeah,
just
well,
getting in.
yes. I mean, I'd like to hang out, but I'm.
You're
it's
about
like
to collapse.
12:30 in that, like 3 hours now, so I'm kind of
My
feeling a
baby
bit
needs to go to bed.
bedraggled.
It's midnight.
Hey?
My baby needs to go to bed. It's late at night.
Oh, we were laughing, Kim, at this. I have to, you know how I broke my wrist it was in the beginning of 2020, and I had an operation at the end of the year because they put a plate in and it was sort of not quite right, and it was kind of affecting my hand, and so they took the plate out at the end of the year in November. but it's still not quite right, and it feels kind of stiff. Anyway, so I'm going to see a hand surgeon soon. I don't know if they can do anything, but apparently there's 2 little bones that are loose or something, according to this X-ray, which is weird. They should have done an X-ray when they took the plate out, and they should have recognized that there was. So I don't know what's going on there, and I don't know if they can fix anything. But anyway, it's a bit stiff. I can still do stuff with it, lift things. I've got good strength in it, but it feels weird.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see this hand. So anyway, my doctor wrote a referral, and she put, this 60-year-old lady has a stiff hand.
Yes.
And it's just hilarious being
old
called
lady
a lady
with a stiff
an
hand.
old lady with
I was thinking, yes, well, that's an image Trish really wants to have. And I said, I can just imagine. I'm envisioning her as this little old lady with gray hair tied up in a bun, and with a walking stick or something.
Anyway, it was funny, so we've made lots of jokes at my expense about it. We have a real black sense of humor.
Trish's looks all spunky and.
That's, you're looking through different eyes, Dee Dee.
No, I'm looking at my eyes.
Anyway, but it was funny, so we made lots of jokes about it. Kim said, "Ouch." Oh no, it's alright. I don't care. It was just funny. It's being called a lady is just really weird to me.
Yes.
It's never made
any
sense.
Well, I thought the old lady was a bit much. I mean, that was 60-year-old lady,
but it's
you
the
got
lady.
This notion of old lady.
Like if it had been 60-year-old woman, that would have sounded less weird. But old lady just sounds like old lady. You know what I mean? Yeah. It sounds sort of like I should have a cane and maybe an ear horn or something. I don't know. You know?
Yes, an ear horn. That was my notion. I can imagine that.
That must have been really
of course, you know what Trish actually looks like. So
what?
People know what you actually look like, so it doesn't look anything like that.
Huh. Anyway, I'd like to think that he might be able to do something for my hand, but at the same time I think, oh my God, another operation? Do you know what I mean?
Well, they did that extra bit with my
I know.
With my ankle.
I know, but it's
nice.
just sort of like, oh my God, the endless operation. Like, I've gone through most of my life, I've only had like really one operation, and that was when I was really young, and I had a tracheostomy for an accident that I had, and I haven't had any, and then now suddenly I might have 3 in like 2 years. I mean, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway,
yes,
Dee Dee?
The tracheotomy thing was kind of weird, but
yeah.
That was when she was a child.
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
Anyway.
My game has crashed again, and I don't think I'll start it again.
Oh well, Dee Dee.
Maybe we should say goodbye now.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good note to end on.
Let's say goodbye.
Oh,
to
so
everybody.
hang on. Kim said my mum at 65 gets pretty insulted at that, the old lady thing.
Yes.
Oh, your mum is 65. My goodness. So how old are you, if you don't mind me asking, Kim?
Oh no,
I'm
older than your mother.
Oh, Dee Dee's older than your mother. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyhow, so it's been lovely hanging out. We just spontaneously decided to do this, and the vegan rant was was good to have, and it's good to see you, Kim, and good to see you. Oh, Kim, I hope I look as young as Trish does if I make it to 60. Well, I hope you make it to 60. I don't know how old you are, but
I hope so.
I think the right lighting helps me look a little bit better than what I actually am. I think that there's a period of time where you're fighting entropy, and so you're gonna. It's almost impossible, isn't it, Dee Dee? To
Yeah. Yeah, there's a point where it's really difficult
yeah, it's just sort
to
of
look
like,
fabulous.
you're doing okay if you don't look like a pile of crap, really. Hey, Dee Dee.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Dee Dee, I'll let you sign off, and thank you so much
Okay.
for dropping by, and
I'll just.
hope you have a lovely day. And I'm so glad to see you, Kim. I know that
Yeah.
you're not always around and stuff, so it's lovely seeing you, and hopefully you'll be able to see. We'll see you again in another live stream.
Yeah.
Did you want to show Aoife in that picture, Dee Dee?
I did. I'm not sure why.
Oh
I
my
can't
God,
see.
Kim's 30. Oh wow, I thought you were older than that. Okay.
What happened?
For some reason, I thought you were older than that.
Oh.
I don't know why I thought that. You seem a lot sort of
More mature.
more mature. I don't know. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I'm 30. She had me at 15 days before she turned 35. Wow, my dad is 72. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, well, you're just a young'un. She's just a young'un.
She is.
Dee Dee. Are you going to show people the picture of...
Well, I'm hoping. Why isn't it coming up?
It's probably too big. It's too big. You need to pull it down.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I can find something.
We're just
that
about
isn't
to
so
go,
big.
and now Dee Dee wants to show pictures of Aoife.
Okay.
She's trying to show a
I think
picture
those
of
ones are
Aoife.
probably too big. I hope they're not all too big. I wanted a nice little picky.
Anyhow,
I'll
I
see if
want
I can-
you, Kim, and Jen, and everybody else to have a long, happy, healthy life. Dee Dee, I don't know, Dee Dee. Do you think we could...
No, all I keep getting is this picture of of a bit of cloth. I don't know why. What's happening? Why can't I get pictures of the catties?
It's probably because it's too...
Too big,
They're
yeah.
too big, Dee Dee.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to see if I can find some little pictures. Bugger.
No.
Either that or I can just sign off. I mean,
Huh?
either that or I can just sign off.
Kim's laughing at something. I'm not sure which bit she's laughing at.
Oh, look. There's a picture of
Hey?
Catty of a corner of something or other. It's a tiny corner of the picture. Oh no. Okay.
Well, they're all... You remember how those pictures in Signet were really large?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think they
don't
were taken by my real camera.
Yeah, your real camera, so
And,
they're
and
massive.
so they're huge.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see if I can find anything from the GIMP files.
Dee Dee's OCD is setting in now. She's
Uh,
looking for other pictures now.
We'll just have a picture of Bast.
That's what happens when somebody's in control.
Yeah.
Oh, we can see an ear. Oh, yeah, there's an ear there, Dee Dee.
What?
There's an ear there. Come on,
Yes.
Dee Dee.
I
put
can't
something
see it
else up.
anyway. I've put it up. I don't know what's going on with OBS. There we go.
That's what our
There we
cats
go.
look like.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Well, I'll say goodbye on that note.
Okay.
Lots of love to everyone. Send some hearts and
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, I thought you were older, meaning I didn't really know, I didn't really know what age
We
you are,
didn't know
but-
you were just a baby.
Yeah, we didn't know you were just a baby.
Yes.
We thought you were...
Yes,
because you
I'm
just-
older than your
a lot
mother.
Of people
God.
On this, a lot of people on this channel are actually sort of, kind of around my age, I've noticed, and I just assumed you were as well.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
I think that's a nice picture of Bast.
What's that? Yes. Is that an old... No, that's obviously not an old... That's somebody's just...
Somebody's drawn that.
just
Yeah.
drawn that, yeah.
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 Okay.
My cats look like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, then.
I'm going to sign
All
off.
right, she's... Dee
1,
Dee's... Okay.
2, 3.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.